to get to, a lot of college football news, some big games this weekend that we have to get to, but we've got to start with the realignment news that came out this morning. Stanford, Cal, and SMU have officially been formally invited to the ACC. We talked yesterday about this meeting coming. It was going to happen at some point today. I don't know if I realized it was going to happen at 7 a.m. this morning, but here we are, and now the American, I guess, will be looking for a new conference member now with SMU out. But, Brett, what did you think when you saw that news this morning?
Well, I'm not surprised. Good afternoon. I'm not surprised that it ended up, and they're now saying with unanimity, even North Carolina. Mm-hmm. But the North Carolina statement last night was pretty clear, I think. I think that was North Carolina's first shot into the first chance they get when the GOR, the grant of rights, it all gets manageable. They're out of there, and I think they will ultimately. I think North Carolina will ultimately end up in the SEC. But we shall see on that. But for now, we know from the Bay Area to Chestnut Hill, welcome to your ACC.
Whew, yeah, really.
I want to see that basketball tournament bracket.
Oh man, it's gonna be a mess. But really, the Atlantic Coast Conference, Stanford and Cal really put the Atlantic Coast into the ACC. But no, it's gonna be interesting for sure. But I think you're right. I mean, I think this move for the ACC was really a move of we've got to do something because Florida State has made it very clear that first chance they get, they're beelining it to another conference. North Carolina has now made it very clear that first chance they get, you can probably also add Clemson in there, maybe even Miami as programs that are going to probably be trying to leave the ACC when it becomes available, and they just had to make a move, got these programs for pretty cheap to start off. I think I heard Stanford and Cal 30%. And SMU staying true to what they've been saying for weeks of we'll play for free. We just want to be in your conference. 9 years they'll go without anything from the media rights deal. So, I mean, I guess SMU, that's really just them saying we have enough to make this jump and do literally anything it takes to make this jump. And I guess we'll see what happens over the next 9 years.
Yeah, maybe one of the bigger, bets on the come in college sports history for SMU, and quite a saga from them, from the death penalty to the ACC. It was a long and winding road, but now the ACC spans from Marin County to the Metroplex to Fenway Park. Practically.
It's incredible. I mean, when they show those maps at the beginning of the season, they put them on Twitter and stuff. It's going to be interesting to kind of see that map of the ACC and this team over here, this team over there. I saw reports that the ACC is now in talks of maybe using Dallas as some sort of hub for other sports outside of football, which
I'm sure.
I mean, I know we've talked before about what will, the Big Ten do now that they have UCLA and USC for in sports outside of football, but I mean, it looks like the ACC has made this move and are now going, all right, we're going to have to figure something out because there's no way you can have Stanford's tennis team fly from, Stanford to Clemson, then back home, and then back to Miami. Baseball, especially, yeah. So it's going to be interesting.
Basketball.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for all of these conferences now, really, to see how it plays out, but especially for the ACC when you have most every team on that Atlantic coast, and now you're adding 3 teams that are kind of a little further. Dallas isn't too far, but Stanford and Cal are on the complete other sides of the country. They're definitely going to have to find something to kind of limit those travel costs.
Yeah, they will go on multi-city road trips.
Yes. And you've seen a lot for, especially baseball. You brought up baseball. I mean, there's a lot of northern schools that at the beginning of the season, they have to do these month-and-a-half, 2-month-long southern trips where they're
going away and stay away.
Yeah, you're playing weekend trips. I know there's a handful of teams that come to Memphis every year. They'll play in Memphis, then they'll go from Memphis and go somewhere like Southern Miss and then go somewhere for a midweek game. And it's just kind of that they can't play at home, so they're on the road, and then the second half of their schedule is really backloaded with home games. So I'm sure you'll see something like that.
Yeah, and quite often in baseball situation like those that they have in baseball, they try to flex in spring break in there as well. No baseball player ever goes in. He's playing baseball spring break. He's not going. He's not going anywhere. And here we are. And what's the next big round of conference realignment? I think I got my prediction right. I'm going to go summer of 2024.
I mean, that'd probably be the best answer because we've seen it's constantly moving. I mean, we thought that your big guess prediction at the beginning of the summer of this is going to be summer of chaos was crazy when you first said, "Oh no, there's no way that we see
quiet as a church mouse."
Until right there
in July.
Until the very end, into July before
August
we really had
made up for
anything, and then and then everything came crashing down. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw something like that again. But I'm kind of glad that this happened today before we actually get really into week one. I mean, we had some games last night. We'll have some more games tonight. But maybe we can put realignment behind us now that we have this kind of figured out and then worry about it next summer.
I don't blame SMU and SMU people for being over the moon. I don't blame them at all. It just is we are very sad in Memphis over the Tigers. I do still advocate, though, this is no time to give up. Right. I know people get tired of hearing kind of we're sending the love offering around one more time. But you cannot give up. That will land you nowhere. Will it land you in not giving up? Will it land you any better than what you have? I don't know, but it's no time to give up. How would you like to be today? And we knew they've always been kind of outposts of college sports, Corvallis and the Palouse. Pullman and Corvallis. Man, they feel like they're in Nome, Alaska today, don't they?
Oh, absolutely.
The pack, too. The two-pack.
And now the American put out a statement right after SMU's the news about SMU saying that they are not looking at either of those two schools to add to their conference and that they don't really want to expand that far west. So, I mean, you got to feel lonely right now. I mean, just a month ago, your conference was fine and maybe not sturdy,
Pac-12.
But yeah, you're in the Pac-12. It doesn't look like you're going to have a ton of, obviously USC and UCLA are out, but other than that, it looks like everybody's going to stay packed and then 2 teams left. It's crazy.
Yeah, Bill Walton will never go visit him again.
Conference of Champions.
Does he know yet? Has someone told him?
But for SMU, this rise, so I'm going to say death penalty was they missed the 87, 88 seasons. Get me exact number years, Jay Morgan. They missed those, so 35 years. In 35 years.
87. So it came down. First round of penalties came down in 85. The 87 NCAA death penalty was SMU's.
So first game back from the death penalty to the ACC in 35 years.
It's incredible. It really is. I mean, that's
crazy. It's because of that prestige of that university, that money base, and that TV market that people don't even know they're playing in.
Yes.
A lot of nights. I mean, just we talk about the autograph booth at the mall or wherever. I mean, any number of Dallas Stars players, Rangers, opposing college football teams, Texas A&M, heck, Arkansas. They're all ahead of SMU in the Metroplex.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, we've talked before about the crowds. I remember having the conversation of you open the Dallas newspaper and what page do you find the first story about SMU? So, I mean, it's interesting, but we know that market and being in that Dallas metro and how much that kind of draws these conferences in when they look at for media rights deals. So I wouldn't say it's super surprising, but you're right. I mean, they need to – hopefully this can get some energy in that program and get more people to show up for games because it's going to be awfully sad in some of these ACC games if they're drawing what they're drawing now.
And what's Moody ranking in arenas in that league? Last?
Close to the bottom, yeah.
What does Gerald Ford Stadium rank? Probably last. And I don't need people rewriting the Pony Express history. Yes, it was colorful. Yes, they were good. But a lot of times those games, now the big Arkansas game in '82 played at Texas Stadium, and a lot of games played at Texas Stadium. they would have very good, very representative crowds. Sure. It was never an impossible ticket, ever.
Right.
It just wasn't. I lived it. I went to it. Okay, maybe that Arkansas game in '82 got approached very, very difficult, but driven by the Arkansas market.
Yeah.
The Arkansas fans. And I was one of them, and I was at the game.
Yeah.
17-17 tie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure you get these conference games. You have Florida State coming in or Clemson coming in or Miami. There's going to be some big crowds, but, I mean, what about when Boston College comes in or Duke even in football, which I think Duke's a good program and had a really good season last year. I think
Or
we'll have a good season
Wake
this
Forest.
year. Or Wake Forest. I mean, some of these teams that are good teams but aren't those top 5 college football brands in America. I wonder how much of that fan base shows up.
In fact, I didn't go to the rematch. 82 was at Texas Stadium. 83 was at War Memorial in Little Rock. In 84, the rematch in big stakes. Winner goes to the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
SMU wins, they go. Arkansas wins, they go. Night game, both teams weren't as good as 2 years before that nationally, but winner goes to the Cotton Bowl. The Cotton Bowl representative, and he was quite the colorful character, and he was fired over a very off-color comment around that year. He was openly pulling for Arkansas in that game. No, I'm sorry, SMU was. They might have already been on probation and couldn't go, and he wanted Arkansas to win. That's exactly it. He didn't want Houston, and that was the derisive comment that got old Hoss Brock fired. Around that, but he wanted Arkansas badly. Friends of mine went that night, and I didn't. Every one of them said nothing like 2 years ago. Place was half full. Jeez. Saturday night, they were good, but not as good then. So I don't need SMU rewriting history.
No, absolutely not. But it is interesting, and you talk about Memphis and kind of continuing that push forward, even though obviously this is news you didn't want to hear today, that you're getting passed up on by a conference for somebody in your own conference. The President Bill Hargrave and the athletic director Laird Veach put out a statement earlier today. The University of Memphis has tremendous momentum, and we will continue to evaluate our national brand, win championships, and position ourselves for the future of intercollegiate athletics. To ensure our momentum continues, our dedicated community supporters must remain engaged, our academics must continue to elevate, and our facility projects, including Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, must move forward as scheduled. So I think that's good. That both,
last thing may be first.
It's got to be first. It's got to be first. I mean, those you're going to get those started.
But
right
I
after
applaud
the season.
him. I support him. And I know Tiger fans are exhausted, just sore tired of this. I know that. Can't quit now, though. As hard as it is, can't quit now. Tomorrow, in these places that crowds could be light, at all 4 of these places, here's the kickoff temperature tomorrow. So temperature is not an excuse for lean crowds.
Okay.
77 in Oxford.
Whew.
82 in Starkville.
All right.
84 in Memphis.
Okay.
85 in Little Rock.
I'll take
after the heat dome.
Oh man,
that feels like late February.
Yeah,
there's
I
a very
take
good
that any day.
There's a very good possibility week 2 games could be hotter on average than week 1.
And a chance sometime in October could be.
That's really true as well.
What'd you say Ole Miss was?
77
That's crazy.
at 1 o'clock tomorrow in Oxford.
Wow.
I'm afraid the northern schools in October might pull that average up or pull it
true.
down too far. Those darn northern schools.
Well, maybe we just keep it to the SEC or something.
How about doing the averages now of ACC temperatures at kickoff in years ahead?
Oh, man.
Wow. That would be a dedicated meteorological school class.
I'll pass.
Well, we know
that.
Stanford is safe for like 70 degrees every game, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
And that's
it's
all I've
pretty
got.
nice in
That's
Berkeley.
about it. Yeah, Cal's usually pretty
Same
nice.
thing. There you go.
So we got those covered. It's just all the other schools that we'd have to worry about. Yeah. Well, let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, Alan Bell from CBS Sports Digital, also from the Early Edge, will join us. We'll do some wagering with him like we do every Friday. 3:45, we'll get back into our wins and losses. A lot of teams to get to at 3:45. Tulsa, Memphis, Ole Miss, and Tennessee at 3:45, so a lot of the local schools. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS, and now BAM.net. He was telling us about that over the last couple of weeks. It's now officially up. Bruce Marshall will join us. I'm sure we'll get his thoughts on the latest realignment news, and we'll do some more wagering with Bruce at 4 o'clock. 4:30, we'll get back into the W's and L's. This time, USF, UAB, Alabama, and Arkansas. And then at the end of that segment, we're going to do something new this college football season. Really, NFL as well will be in there once it starts. But a weekend bingo card. We'll all give 3 things that we think will happen this weekend, whether it be in a game, something in the game, broadcast, anything.
Play along at home.
Yeah, play along at home. Mark them off when you see them. But we'll get to those at the end of that 4:30 segment. 4:45, big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas will join us to talk about the Razorbacks as they kick off Week 1 tomorrow. 5:30, well, we'll get to our first National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast of the season. That will be a lot of fun. How many games do we have today, Brett? What's it, 6? 5 or 6?
6 or 8?
6
How many
or
we
8,
got?
something like that.
No NFL.
No NFL.
So all college this week. I'm sorry, I don't. 8. Yeah.
8, okay. 8 games today to pick for, so we'll do that at 5:30. Some good games this weekend to pick, and I'm excited to see where both of y'all land on a couple of these games that I went back and forth of. But we'll do that.
And we know where you really win this. You win it with the locks and shocks.
You got to get that lock and shock in there.
1 point for every correct pick, -1 for every incorrect pick, and on any shock, college or pro, if you get it right, you get a point. If you get it right straight up, it's 2 points.
Yeah, and especially Week 1, kind of hard.
That's
to
how
get.
You got me. Like, you're defending champ.
I am, aren't I? How about that? Back and better than ever. We're gonna have 2 belts over our shoulder after this year. 2 rings on the finger.
Banners everywhere. John Goins golf pick banners up. Your banners are up.
That's right. But the Week 1 with locks and shocks, a little difficult. A lot of teams playing FCS opponents. Lines aren't up yet, so
some big numbers.
Some big numbers in some of those other games. So a little tough to get a lock and a shock this weekend. But I like the 2 I settled on. So we'll do that at 5:30. Then at 5:45, we'll wrap up the week with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Summer clearance sale going on right now, and Family Leisure needs your help to clear out inventory. All DIY pools, $1,000 off. Special 24-foot round pool, less than $2,000. Select play gyms, only $18.99. Patio furniture, up to 30% off. And the spas, they're in stock and up to $1,200 off. And don't forget about the 24-month same-as cash financing, now available only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
We welcome you in on this Friday. He's Brian. I'm Brett. Jay Morgan Harder, our producer. We're with you until 6 o'clock. Text us, call us at 901-360-8255. We're in our Family Leisure Studios. Wherever we are, we're in our Family Leisure Studios. And every day at this hour, it is brought to you by the great people at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. The one and only Lexus dealership in town. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is the story that we've talked about to start the show. The ACC has formally invited Stanford, Cal, and SMU to join their conference. We mentioned yesterday that a meeting was supposed to take place today, and they would potentially vote to add those 3 schools. I thought it would happen in the afternoon, maybe around lunchtime, but no, first thing in the morning. They wanted to get it done.
Anybody change your mind.
Exactly. I mean, they had to get out in front, and that's what they did. Kind of woke me up in the morning, seeing that really, okay, wow, we're doing this first thing in the morning. But for these schools, I mean, obviously Stanford and Cal needing a place to go next year with the pack crumbling because every other team has found a home in a new conference. We were down to 4 schools. Now we're down to 2. Stanford and Cal definitely seemed like the 2 biggest schools left that were the most appealing to a conference like the ACC. When you talk about Stanford, some of the success they've had recently, and then when you look at the academics with both of those schools, it makes it appealing for a conference like the ACC to add. And then when you've got a school like SMU that's saying, hey, we'll come play for free for 9 years. I mean, how do you not pass up on that? And so I think it's a good deal for the ACC. You're getting these schools in cheap for the first couple of seasons, and it definitely looks like you're going to lose some schools. North Carolina has pretty much made it clear. I think Florida State has been the clearest school out of any of them of they're ready to go, and the first chance they get, they're going to take it. So I think that's why you added 3 schools and not 2 or 4 schools, is because you're probably expecting at least one school to leave your conference when they have that opportunity. But it's definitely going to be a new look 2024, but now it's going to be a new look AAC. What will the American do to replace SMU? Will they kind of just stay with what they have? Will they go out, find one school, or will they add more than one school and make it another group addition like we're seeing this year? A lot of questions to be had, and Mike Oresco, a lot of decisions to make.
Get ready for this, the storied ACC basketball tournament, Tobacco Road, Las Vegas.
Oh, absolutely.
You probably can get ready for championship football game there as well. My top story almost could be a big number here. I got a theme here. 13. 1 for 13 on third down for Florida last night, and 13 yards rushing for the game. 13 yards rushing for Florida. 39 for Vandy versus Hawaii. Florida could very well be 2-3 when they play Vandy October 7th. They got a little hope with that defense.
Yeah.
Graham Mertz, no. In the offense, it was predictably stale. 44 passing attempts. Steve Spurrier, I bet, couldn't recognize that play and that scheme last night from the Florida offense. A lot of those guys on offense for Florida, I didn't see many that around college football you go, yeah, I'd like that player on my team. Yeah, I bet he could help us. Just didn't seem like a lot. Heck, Will Muschamp probably couldn't recognize that Florida offense. Last night's split screen was stark. Florida and Nebraska. It's been over for a while at Nebraska. Feels like it is ending at Florida, both of those kings of the 90s. Here's a little reminder for everyone. If you've got to date yourself as anything and you lead it with 1999, it's too long ago now.
Yeah.
Not top story of the day.
Time's been moving, and 1999 is a
Time's always
long time
moving,
ago.
Brian.
It's always moving. That's right.
Father Time undefeated.
Well, I guess he is.
Never
He
lost.
is. Never lost. My not top story of the day is exactly what you were just talking about. These games last night, the 2 biggest games of the night, Utah, Florida, and then Minnesota and Nebraska. You already talked about Florida. Just, I think a lot of people, if you
Helpless.
go on to Twitter, if you went on to Twitter last night and saw the reactions from a lot of people across the country, people are shocked. This is not the Florida football that I remember watching 5-6 years ago. This is completely different. They couldn't move the ball, penalties after penalties, just couldn't get anything going offensively. Like you said, that defense looks like it can round into form and be something, but that offense leaves a ton out there, and I really liked what Utah brought, even without Cam Rising back there at quarterback. They played both of their backup quarterbacks. I thought both looked really good. The freshman dual threat quarterback only, I think, had 4 pass attempts, but really looked good using his legs and kind of spreading that offense. But then in the other game, Minnesota and Nebraska, it was just tough to watch. I mean, neither team could really move the ball. A lot of interceptions, a lot of mistakes.
They make prisoners at Gitmo watch that to torture them.
Oh, it was brutal. I mean, it was that game was played around the 50-yard line because nobody could move the ball. It
was played from the 38 to the other 38.
Yeah. I mean, they just couldn't move the ball at all. And then Nebraska,
it was tug of war at midfield.
It really was. I mean, it was tough to watch. And Nebraska, the only touchdown they score was on a trick play that was a backwards pass, hits the ground, looks like disaster. Jeff Sims picks it up and just looks for somebody, finds his tight end down in the end zone, just heaves it up for a wide open touchdown. But it was an ugly game, and then it looked like Nebraska had an opportunity to win, and only a couple minutes left in the game. They had the ball. All you got to do is run the clock out, and Jeff Sims throws his 3rd interception of the game and sets up a Minnesota field goal to win it. So, I mean, I guess good for Minnesota starting 1-0, but that was not fun to watch.
It was not. That's my not top story. Seriously, how hard is it for the head coach or the head equipment manager to issue everyone a different number. Here's the deal, men. We've got 0 to 99. Pick you one. If it's taken, pick another one. If it's taken, we keep working our way down. It's the dumbest thing we ever did in college football is when that head coach, an adult, that equipment manager, an adult, cannot tell a 19-year-old, no, that one's taken. You got to get it. You got a different number. If you can't tell a 19-year-old to pick another number, what can we tell them? I mean, no other sport even attempts to have duplicate numbers out there, and it would be hard for them to because there's not offense, defense. Sure. And last night that got Florida. Why can't we just change that? The Gophers, they got the big win, but watching Nebraska and Florida on the same night lose like that, it is no doubt about it. The 90s are over.
A lot has changed, Brett. A lot has changed, and we saw it last night.
Do you think if you told a 19-year-old you got to pick a different number, would that be dubbed microaggressive?
I don't know.
Would they need a comfort pet?
When I was 17 and 18, I was told multiple times I had to choose a different number.
And you took it just fine, didn't you?
I did. Number 10. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I hate the duplicate numbers. Like you said, it got Florida. You see it really almost once a year getting some team, especially on special team units, 2 guys run out and they both have the same number. But it seems like it's something that should be easy to fix. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break of the day. When we come back, we'll talk wagering with Alan Bell.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey, this is Elliot Perry, former Memphis Tiger and NBA player. I love my city and want the best for our future. I want to introduce you to Paul Young, someone who has dedicated his life to building a better Memphis. Paul and I share a deep connection to this city. His commitment to improving the lives of Memphians resonate with me on a profound level. As the City Director of Housing and Community Development, Paul Young has worked tirelessly to ensure affordable housing and build thriving neighborhoods. Now, as President of the Downtown Memphis Commission, Paul Young is revitalizing our city, attracting jobs, and creating opportunities.
This is Paul Young. Memphis is my home, and I'm running to make it a place where everyone can thrive. Together, we'll make our community safe, invest in our neighborhoods, fund youth programs, and take care of our seniors. We'll continue the work I started in housing and community development, always putting Memphis families first. I'm asking for your vote on October 5th so we can build a Memphis that works for all of us. Paid for by friends of Paul Young, Cassandra Webster, Treasurer.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Did you know gas goes bad in as little as 30 days? Bad gas can cause rough starts, poor performance, or no starts at all. Stable, America's #1 fuel stabilizer, ensures quick and easy starts after storage. Stable's proprietary formula keeps fuel fresh for 2 years, outperforming competitors. Whether it's your car, truck, boat, lawnmower, leaf blower, weed trimmer, ATV, motorcycle, or anything else with an engine, when you store, start with Stable.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings & Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings & Grill is family-friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings & Grill.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's right there at Highway 78, Lamar Avenue, and Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi. I say it because they always come up with new innovations. And right now, when we've had all these shortages on new cars, Homer Skelton Hyundai is always going to come through for you. You won't pay more than the sticker price for a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's Chris True's pledge. You'll never pay more than sticker price. Those other guys, they could charge you a whole lot more for that new car because they know there's a shortage. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's part of the philosophy and the team that's been together for about 15 years now. You want the best of service? You want the best of products? It's the combination and the trust you'll always get from the best guys around. Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and joining us now from CBS Sports Digital, also the Early Edge, to talk some wagering. Alan Bell joins us now. Alan, thanks so much for joining us. I know we want to get to a lot of these Week 1 college football games, but I want to start off with Week 0. What did you think of Notre Dame going over to Ireland? Sam Hartman in his first game, I've heard a lot of people have different views on it because it was Navy. But I think this Notre Dame team could be dangerous this year.
Oh, it can. First off, I appreciate you guys having me back here. Look, kind of when you're playing a Week 0, Week 1 game, your first game of the year, a lot of times you're playing against yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
no doubt.
You're playing against, how you practice, all the new installs from the coaching staff, all of that. And if you excel, I don't care who it's against. Well done, because you just don't have a lot of time.
Right.
So I was super impressed. He looked good. Notre Dame looked good. And Navy's not an easy team. And let's also give them credit. They went to another country to do this as well, right? I give them credit, man. Like, I thought I was very, very impressed with those things.
And Alan, I was in your city last Saturday night at the Vandy Hawaii game, and I joined a lot of people picking it at Vandy. They did win. Hey, how about giving Hawaii some credit? It was a 4-pair of underwear packed for a trip.
No kidding, man. And here's another thing too. Not only did Hawaii travel half the country, half the world, to get here. They probably have families that are dealing with situations that are a little bit bigger, right? Like, there's a lot of things going on. And for them to come out, play good football, after getting beat by 50 last year at home, right? Like, I was impressed with them. I'm with you. They were, a good win. I mean, they've got some things to work on, which every team will after their first game. But you know what? For Vanderbilt to start off well, get a win for a team that, is only – picked to win, 4 games this year. Good start, man. Like, I can't complain about either team.
Alan, I almost felt like I need to reintroduce myself to you today. It's been so long since I've heard your voice on Friday. I've been gone. You were out a little bit. I'm glad to hear you. And one thing I've always respected about you, and at 4 o'clock we'll visit with Bruce Marshall as well. Y'all have never been these 10,000-star lock of the week types that, you kind of hear late night, overnight, all weekend advertising that they've never lost a game and they got super inside information. At CBS, at the Early Edge, what constitutes your favorite play? Something close to lock.
Yeah, are you talking about how I go about it or a specific play for this week? How I go about it?
Yeah. How you go about it? If you put in the data and it spit out, you thought, oh man, this one really sets off the numbers.
You got to start off with all right. So let's just take a football game, right? Let's say Ole Miss, Mississippi State are playing, all right? So before you do anything, right? As us, as fans of teams of the sport as a whole, just watch football. You kind of project a final score in your head, just of how you think the game's going to go. And then you run through the simulations, you see it, and you think, okay, this is kind of close to what I thought, or this is a big surprise. Excuse me, is my eye off? Am I not seeing something that I need to see? Right? So when doing all of that, when everything kind of aligns with where you think and how you project this thing to go out, when all of that kind of aligns together, that's when you feel good. Now, I'm not saying that it always works, but that's when you feel good. You know, like last night with the Atlanta
That's
Braves.
why they call it gambling, Alan.
Yeah, it is, right? It is. But, you know, last night with the Braves and the Dodgers, I thought that the Braves had absolutely, you know, the pitching advantage in Strider over Lance Lynn. You know, and just speaking about the Braves bats, I thought that they would score 6 or more runs. And, you know, it helps with a Ronald Acuna grand slam, but they got after Lance Lynn how I thought that they would. So that's why I felt good about betting the Braves team total yesterday and Ronald Acuna props, because I felt that the Braves would get after Lance Lynn, and they did. So I use that as the example. When everything kind of aligns together, yeah, that's when you kind of feel good about it.
All right, with that, give me your lock of the week.
I'll tell you this, man. MTSU, Alabama, all right? Taking the over 51.5, and I'll tell you why. A couple reasons. One, Alabama is working on solidifying their starting quarterback. So you're going to have any of the guys playing full tempo, 100%, because that starting job is there. Number two, Nick Saban and Alabama, historically, when playing group of 5 teams, have just all gas, no brakes. Last year, Utah State and I can't remember the other team, they won 118-7 combined points. Like, Nick Saban does not take his foot off the gas pedal. And then number 3, you got brand new coordinators at Alabama, offensively and defensively. All right. So as Nick Saban is on his players, he's also setting the tone for his coordinators. It's a classic Nick Saban chewing them out, even if they're up 45-0 in the third quarter. So I say all that to say this. Alabama has no reason to stop in this game. They will continue to score. They will continue to push it because everyone is getting and learning the standard of what it is. It's an educational game at Alabama, and those usually mean Alabama might score. They might cover the over on themselves, honestly.
Wow. Well, Alan, when you look at these Week 1 games, and just like the one you just brought up, I mean, you look at the spread for that game, 39 points. I know a lot of handicappers, especially Week 1 of college football, they get so excited about the sport starting. How do you go about some of these games that have these bigger spreads? Do you focus more on the total, maybe team totals? How do you kind of find ways to bet on these games when you've got 40-point, 45-point lines?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't play a lot of them, if at all.
Yeah.
I'll definitely look at the total, see where it's at. You know, in my head, try to project what a final score probably would look like, right?
Yeah.
Like Alabama, MTSU, 49-10. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like playing those spreads because I'll give you a perfect stat for tomorrow that perfectly aligns with a great question that you just asked. All right? So UMass is playing Auburn. UMass is 9-0 against the spread against SEC teams.
Wow.
Because the spread is usually 40 points, right? It's just so many points. You basically have to play a perfect game on both sides and not take your foot off the gas pedal. So long story short, man, I don't play those. It's just too much. There's too much risk involved. There's so many other places you could go about doing it. The total is a much better way to attack.
It's a big number in Nashville, bright and early tomorrow morning at the home of the Titans. Tennessee minus 27.5 over Virginia. Love, light, got anything on it?
Yeah, so I've got a couple here. All right, so first off, we're going to play the first quarter over, and this is both teams. All right, first quarter over 12.5. Last year, Tennessee scored 141 points in the first quarter of games. And look, I know it's a different offense. Hendon Hooker's not there, but Joe Milton, backup quarterback, he has 17 appearances under Heupel. It's not like he doesn't know the offense, all right? Number two, Virginia's not good. They're not good at all, and Tennessee is going to look to start this game very quickly and just get it out of the way. Get the win and get out of there. And for them, scored 141 points in the first quarter last year. Look, Northwestern scored 165 total points last year. Like, Tennessee's offense was insane. I think that they're going to continue to play that super fast tempo offense, and they're going to get that thing going. So that's how I'm going about it. I'm not playing 27.5, 28. Another way to look, Tennessee's second half team total over 16.5. You get it under that key number of 17. All right. And again, Tennessee plays their offense so quickly that it's almost like playing the Atlanta Braves in that Ronald Acuna gets 5, 6, 7 at-bats in a game possibly, where other teams, their leadoff hitter might get 4, right? Like, you just have so many more opportunities to score, and they do it so quickly. Well, even if they're kind of running the game out, Virginia's a bad team, man. Like, they're one of the worst teams in the country. So, yeah, you can look at it that way.
Yeah. Talking to Alan Bell from CBS Sports Digital and The Early Edge. You can follow him on Twitter at Alan G. Bell. I know one team a lot of people are excited about one way or the other is Colorado with Deion Sanders coming in there and bringing his Louis bag of transfers with him going up against TCU in one of the first games of the day. 20.5-point line in favor of TCU. Do you have anything on this one?
I'll tell you what, I played a parlay where I kind of alternate line where I brought TCU down. But I'll say this. I respect Deion Sanders, right? He's a good coach.
Yeah.
He knows what he's talking about. And Shedeur Sanders, his son's quarterback, is talented, man. But here's the problem. There are 50 new players. 50. There's just not enough time. Right? Like, if somebody's betting TCU 20.5, like, I don't hate it. Because, one, TCU is much better. Number two, TCU's probably heard enough about Deion Sanders and wouldn't mind punching them in the mouth, right?
Yeah.
And then number three, look how the season ended last year for TCU. That was rough. That was rough against Georgia. Rough, right? Like, they might want to get some frustrations out, too, even though it's a different team. But, yeah, man, like, I brought it down a little bit, but if somebody's playing 20.5, dude, I don't hate it. I think TCU has their way with Colorado.
Sunday night, LSU, FSU. It was a classic last year at the Dome in New Orleans. This year in Orlando. And Mike Norvell, this is a game that can really propel them right firmly into playoff talk all year. And LSU wants revenge. What do you like in that game?
Yeah, it is, man. I think this is a big game for both teams. Obviously, understatement here, but you know, LSU's looking for the revenge factor. What you said, Mike Norvell. This is a prove-it game, right? Like, are you for real? Is Florida State for real? You know what? I think that they are. I think they're pretty good. I think Jordan Travis, quarterback for Florida State, is going to do well. I think this offense is going to try to get this thing started quickly. Mike Norvell, career-wise, when coaching against Brian Kelly, 3 times. All 3 times covered the spread. I think that Florida State does. I think they're the better team than LSU. Get the 2.5 points, buddy. I'll take that all day. Give me some.
I like it. Last thing for you, Alan, the Monday night game, Clemson against Duke, about 13.5 right now in favor of Clemson. I've heard some people going back and forth about this game, maybe not so high on Clemson this year, maybe a little higher on Duke. They've been a better program over the last couple of seasons. What do you think about Clemson going into the season and then for this game Monday night?
So I'm higher on Clemson than other people might be.
Yeah.
Look, don't get me wrong. Elko Duke, what they did last year, great job. Honestly,
absolutely.
That's a well-coached football team. It's kind of like UConn. Like, It doesn't get talked about how well-coached that they are. That being said, big game Dabo comes out. Dabo usually does pretty well. And I think that it's a little bit of addition by subtraction with no more DJ Ukulele. I think that's just a bad situation all around. I think Clemson gets back. And look at Clemson's last game. It's Tennessee in the Orange Bowl. Got routed, right? I think Clemson comes out. I'm taking them with the points. I know, it's double digits there, but yeah, I think Clemson comes out, proves the point. And look, Dabo, he's not afraid to get up there and then run the football and just choke you out like a bull constrictor, man. That's what he does. Yeah, I'm taking Clemson.
I like it. Alan, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck this weekend. We'll do it again next week.
Hey, look forward to it, boys. Y'all have a wonderful weekend, man. We'll talk soon.
Thanks,
Thank you, Alan. Alan Bell with us from CBS Sports on all the games this weekend. Look, we're going to watch all these games. We're going to build up a big appetite. We're going to have a lot of people over. We may want to get out to go somewhere and watch them among fellow fans. You can do all that with the commissary. Either place, the new Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. Perfect place for big groups. Memphis-style barbecue and ribs done the authentic Memphis-style way, the signature, the slow-cooked way. If you're craving an easier way to order, text commissary to 33733 for any tailgate. It's a night out at high school, all weekend at college, and to have people over and to get out and enjoy, do it at the commissary. Start that barbecue feast with the great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales, the smoked chicken wings, or the barbecue nachos, a staple of sport invented at the commissary in the early 80s. Dig into the ribs, the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a plate, on a sandwich, all the sides, slaw, beans, deviled eggs, bread as well. And you can order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. And those desserts, the best lemon icebox pie anywhere, the strawberry cakes, the banana pudding. You're heading off to the lake and you're going to do all the barbecuing this weekend. Take the desserts with you. 901-754-5540. Go online at commissarybbq.com in Collierville and Germantown. Those party areas, orders to go, catering, tailgating, and coming soon, I'll be talking about the holiday bird as we get into the fall, all at the commissary. 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybbq.com.
Let's get to a break. When we come back, we got to get to some more wins and losses on the season. On the other side, Tulsa, Memphis, Ole Miss, and Tennessee.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with 2 of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, it's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Five Ash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
A good friend of mine often says that golfers are the best athletes. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors. Now, I don't want to embarrass Ed by mentioning his name, but if you stop and think about it, he may be right. Just like the best real estate agent may not be who you think. Like a left tackle in football, a golfer hits it hard off the tee. Like a sprinter, the golfer walks down the fairway to reach his ball. Then like a quarterback who wants to connect with a distant target, the golfer hits the ball again, and in my case, again and again and again. So if you or someone you know is thinking of selling a home, draft your team by interviewing the players. Find out who will block that offensive lineman from knocking your deal down, and find out about the Shell Bucks option play. When interviewing, call or email me to find out why people often say, when you want the job done, call Shell Done. You can reach me at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. That's 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. Do it now and don't fumble that ball.
If you want a great experience, you need to go to Genesis.
Meet Kendall Womble, who shopped several other jewelry stores but ended up at Genesis Diamonds with a bigger, better quality diamond for less.
Based on what I had seen elsewhere, I didn't know that this size diamond would be possible for me to have on my finger.
Are you ring shopping? Genesis Diamonds has one of the nation's largest selections of GIA certified diamonds at the guaranteed best prices, bar none.
You're going to get the most value for your dollar at Genesis Diamonds. You're going to get the best customer service in town and probably in the entire state.
And that's what Kendall really loved. The personal attention, the relaxed environment, the no-pressure shopping experience.
This jewelry store was like home. It wasn't walking into corporate America. Nothing's a sales pitch here. It's all genuine. They're like a family.
Genesis Diamonds.
There would be no reason that I could ever think of that you would not go to Genesis first. And if you leave Genesis and try to shop around, you will come back to Genesis.
Memphis's direct diamond importer at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
All right, we got to get to some more wins and losses with the season kicking off tomorrow. Tulsa, Memphis, Tennessee, and Ole Miss right now. Let's go ahead and start in the American with Tulsa.
And we all had a win last night over UAPB.
We did. They did not cover, though.
They did not.
Tulsa, rough start.
It was uncomfortably close for a little while.
It really was. So Tulsa, I do not have a good year for them. I actually have last night's win being one of very few for them this season. I have them going 3-9. Their only wins on the year being last night and then later in the year against Temple on a Thursday night and Rice on a Thursday night. They like the Thursday night games. Actually, all three of their wins, according to my schedule, come on a Thursday night. Tulsa, maybe you should have scheduled every game for Thursday night. I have you 3-9.
I don't know what I was thinking. I have 7 wins for Tulsa, 7-5, 5-3 in the league. The win last night, then losses at Washington, to OU, wins at Northern Illinois and against Temple, win at FAU, win against Rice on one of those Thursday nights that you mentioned, lost to ACC-bound SMU, win over Charlotte, lost at Tulane, win over North Texas, and a loss at ECU.
Yeah. Jay Moore?
I've got Tulsa somewhere in the middle, 5-7, but after last night, I think that's also probably too many, quite frankly. Close, or maybe Pine Bluff's really good. You know what? Maybe we'll look back at the end of the year and go, well, that Pine Bluff team is pretty good. How about that? No, but I've got Tulsa 5-7, beating Pine Bluff as they did last night, losing at Washington and Oklahoma. I've got them winning on the road at NIU. I don't think they win that game after watching last night anymore. I really don't. NIU usually has a pretty good program. I remember they played Vanderbilt last year. That was a pretty good game. Yeah. I don't know anybody on the roster, but generally a pretty good team there. But I have them down as a win, so I'm sticking with it. Right. They beat Temple as well on a Thursday. That's another one that could go either way now after watching that. Losing at FAU, and know that's going to happen. Off a bye, they beat Rice. How about that? And then lose at SMU. They beat Charlotte. Lose at Tulane, no chance. Lose North Texas, no chance. And lose at ECU that last game of the year.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a great year for Tulsa. Now to the Tigers. They kick off tomorrow night against Bethune-Cookman. I have them 8-4, but I think I could easily be swayed to 9-3.
Why do you hate the Tigers,
I don't hate the Tigers. I love the Tigers.
Hand in your alumni card. Turn in the diploma. And pay your parents back.
That's right.
Never. Well, my parents might be in favor of that. I have the Tigers 8-4. Like I said, they can be changed. Have them winning tomorrow. I actually have them winning 3 straight games. Bethune-Cookman, Arkansas State, and Navy. Then I have 3 straight losses. But I'm telling you, one of those could become
it gets loud if that happens.
Very easily. It sure does.
3-3, it gets loud.
3-3, but then after that, you look pretty good winning all but one of your final games. UAB, North Texas, USF, Charlotte, and Temple, all wins. The only loss comes at home to leaving SMU as they say their goodbyes to the ACC. So I have 8-4, really could be 9-3 very easily.
Worst kept secret in Memphis radio. I've had 9-3 for a while now, and I'm not changing right here on the eve of the season starting 3-0. Win tomorrow night against Bethune-Cookman, win next week at Jones Boogie against ASU, and win on Thursday night against Navy. I've got a loss to Mizzou in Columbia. In St. Louis that I I just don't have the nerve to pick the Memphis Tigers. I wish I had. Boise State, a W at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, open date, a loss at home to Tulane, a loss on the road at UAB, and I saw nothing last night to really reinforce that. I don't know why I have that. I just didn't have the nerve to do what Brian Moss did this morning with Greg and Eli. Brian Moss picked 11-1. I respect that.
I love it.
I'm driving and texting Greg. I really respect that. I don't think Brian was doing it homer. No. I don't. He'd been advocating that since around media days. Down the stretch of the year, the Tigers win against North Texas, USF, at Charlotte, home against SMU, and at Temple, 9-3, and I think it could be a lot better than that.
Absolutely. Jay Morgan?
I'm going to both advocate for and against the Tigers when I go through the schedule here. So I'm playing both sides, as it were, Sean Connery. Bethune-Cookman's a win. Easily. That team is terrible. I think they win at Arkansas State. I think everyone's talking about how tough that game will be. I don't need to get into that. Beating Navy, losing like Brett said at the Zoo and the Lou. I wish I could pick them though, but I took Memphis. I have them beating Boise State at home there. And then going into the bye week, I have them losing to Tulane. You know, I hear Dave's stat about them winning so many in a row, and I do get that. That's an excellent stat, and it really could be meaningful. But Tulane this is not like, I mean, it's just not indicative of how good Tulane was last year and how good they could be this year off a bye week. I just don't think they can win that. And to what you said, Brett, about going 3-3, I don't think the Heat should get turned up at that point because, like you said, they're going to roll through the back half of this schedule. Winning at UAB, winning at North Texas, winning against South Florida, winning at Charlotte. I think they beat SMU. And in the last game of the year, though, I think they lose at Temple. That's a tough game. It's always tough in Philadelphia. That's going to be a senior day game for them. So 9-3 for the Tigers for me.
All right, let's go over to the SEC.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Tennessee, simple for me. 11-1, only loss at Bryant-Denny Stadium to Bama.
All right, my Tennessee, I have them 10-2. The only two losses I have in Tuscaloosa against Alabama and then to Georgia in Knoxville. Jay Morgan? You need to turn your microphone on to
I don't think the Vols lose a football game this year. I'm too excited to say it.
12-0?
Yeah, 12-0.
Wow. All right. Over to
the people in the next room just asked me to be quiet. Quiet down with that. I'm sorry. 12-0 for Tennessee?
12-0. That's right. Good Lord. All right. How about that? Brett, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss for me, 7-5 for the Rebels. Right. Start 3-0 over Mercer, Tulane, and Georgia Tech, and then 2 straight losses to Bama and LSU. They win at home against Arkansas. Last year at Arkansas, winning that game at Fayetteville. Home game, I'm going to pick the home team. Lose at Auburn, win against Vanderbilt, win against Texas A&M, then lose at Athens to Georgia, beat UL Monroe. And the home team has not won the Egg Bowl since 2020. Got to get back that reset. I've got Mississippi State winning the Egg Bowl. That should be a home field game.
Brett, I have the exact same wins and losses. Exactly the same. Losing at Auburn, I can't believe we both have that one, and losing the Egg Bowl 7-5, exactly the same.
Wow, I have Ole Miss 6-6. You start 3-0, then lose 4 straight games against Alabama, LSU, Arkansas, Auburn. You win back-to-back games against Vanderbilt and Texas A&M. A loss in Athens, a win against UL Monroe, and then a loss in Starkville to Mississippi State. So 6-6 for Ole Miss. Kind of a disappointing season for Lane Kiffin if they go 6-6, really in any fashion, but like that for sure. But we got to get to a break and wrap up our first hour. When we come back, we'll talk to Bruce Marshall. That's next.
Is your roof leaking? Do you have water damage on your ceiling of your home or business? Do you need assistance gathering much-needed data and images from your storm-damaged roof for an insurance claim? Call Metro Builders, roof and restoration specialists, and schedule your free inspection. At Metro Builders, our team of Hague-certified technicians and fully trained estimators are ready to come out and evaluate any concerns you may have. Metro Builders Roof and Restoration. We accept all insurance carrier scopes. Call Metro Builders now. Each and every day, we provide clients many different types of data and estimates for their insurance carrier. These include estimate and photo reports of all damage, from the roof to water damage on rafters and ceilings and even studs and plates inside walls. Check out the local BBB for our 27-year history in construction in Memphis, or check us out online today at metrobuildersmemphis.com. That's metrobuildersmemphis.com for your local residential and commercial roofing and restoration experts. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
There's only one place for great steaks, real Italian cuisine, Southern-style meats, and fresh vegetables. It's Fratello's. Fratello's Italian Steakhouse in Hernando has a family feel and a fantastic menu. Voted DeSoto's best new restaurant in 2022, Fratello's has your favorite cuts of prime steak, lamb, and pork, along with delicious Italian dishes. And nothing is better for lunch than Southern-style meats and veggies. All your favorites and more are waiting for you at Fratello's Italian Steakhouse, Highway 51 in Hernando.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day. But it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Witten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk. Don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you from the Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now to talk some wagering with Week 1 finally here, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAM.net joins us now. Bruce, thanks so much for joining us. Before we get to any of these games tonight or this weekend, I want to get your thoughts on Florida's performance against Utah last night. Obviously, we saw Florida win the first game last year, but now in Utah, much different. What did you think about both those teams last night?
Well, the best thing that happened to Florida last night was Charter TV cutting off Disney for about 15 million viewers who couldn't watch the game on ESPN. I assume there's a bunch of Gator fans that were in that. It was not. It was very. Cool. If I'm a Gator fan, and I did get to see it, I'm very disappointed. And it was the execution and the sloppiness. I mean, you talk about a team committing. I mean, Harry Carey. It was Florida. I mean, when you have a delay a game on a 3rd and 1, and then in a 4th and 1,
duplicate numbers,
false start. Yeah, and then you miss a short field goal, and then you have a penalty on a punt that keeps the ball in Utah's possession. That's effectively a turnover, and then turning the ball over and you're about your own 10-yard line. It was terrible, and they couldn't run worth a lick. And I am so tired of watching these teams that cannot run the football at all.
Yeah.
And, running for 31 yards and things like that. Mertz didn't look all that great, although his stats look better than his performance. He's not going to make plays like Anthony Richardson. Billy Napier's got a long way to go there. And that is not a fan base that is noted for being very patient down there. And they might actually be worse than they were last year. They did have an NFL first-round pick at quarterback, even though I thought he was kind of overrated.
Mm-hmm.
But he sure looks a lot better than what they got going now, and the whole thing looks pretty bad for Florida, if you ask me.
Bruce, in 2 weeks, they muddle through and beat McNeese next week, whatever, 45-10, whatever it is. But in 2 weeks against Tennessee goes in there and pace them. Night game, ESPN, Tennessee puts it on them 48-7. It starts, doesn't it?
Yeah, it starts, and there's no. I think Napier's honeymoon ended about midway through last year, if not before. Maybe when Kentucky beat them last year. I mean, it just started to go down not long after the opener last year, and we'll see. I think he'd have to really go bad for them to make a move after
$32 million to fire him after this year.
Yeah. And I think that the consensus seems to be that he was left with a lot more barren cupboard than we thought at the start by Dan Mullen.
Mm-hmm.
But you're supposed to coach these guys up a little bit. And just watching the product, I mean, if they could be in trouble if they look as sloppy as they did last night. I mean, that's just no excuse for that if you want to be a competitive program. And where Florida has been for all these years. By the way, you should hear, you want to talk about something funny. The guys down in Baton Rouge I talked to, Florida's been the crossover opponent for them for all these years.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, now that we're changing the schedule next year, and now
Florida's
Florida
a gimme.
gets bad. I mean, all those years we had to play Florida when they were good, and now they're not. So
and no love lost in that rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Those two departments and administration, it got very crossways with LSU and Florida, but really they're right on that. Bruce, I said yesterday, you helped me historically. I thought going into the season, I said this before the game yesterday, it's kind of the most hopeless feeling around Florida since Charlie Pell's first year in '79.
Yeah, I think so. And that one didn't win the game. Although, Pell got that thing back to a bowl the next year.
He got it rolling.
He got it rolling, and they got several bowls, and then Galen Hall came in and kept it going. But Napier last year, I mean, they did get to a bowl, but I mean that's just because of the bowl dynamics. Now they let a 6-6 team and go in there, and oh by the way, that was an embarrassment. Now he had a lot of guys opt out for the bowl last year, but they didn't put it. That looked about as bad last night as the Oregon State game in the bowl in Vegas last December. One thing you won't see, maybe Florida saying, well, we don't go out to the west too much, so we're not going to go out to Utah. And
so that was 30-3 in the bowl, so 54-14 the last two games.
Yeah, and ugly, just ugly. Yeah. And I mean, they got some trouble there. They really do. And we will, we'll see where it goes. But they thought they had Utah in a good spot without rising for Utah, but. Kyle Whittingham's quarterbacks played within themselves, and they looked like the better coached team last night. Definitely so.
Yeah. We're talking to Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and his new website, bamsports.net. Let's get to some of these games tomorrow. I know on Fox, the first game of the day, Colorado versus TCU, after TCU made it all the way to the national championship game, but they're not getting as much love in this one because of all the hype around Colorado. I've seen some people talk about they think Colorado can stay close in this one. What do you think happens tomorrow between Colorado and TCU?
Well, I'm going to do the responsible thing here and just not make a call on this game.
Smart.
Because I don't see how you can with Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different team than last year. I mean, really, this is an effective expansion team in college football. And you've only got, 10 guys on the roster who were even there last year. And Deion purged the roster, a lot of it after the spring game, too. And beyond all the hype with Deion and all the the stuff and the Deion talk and Coach Prime and all that, what this effectively is the greatest test case we have seen thus far for the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
To go in en masse and literally remake a roster completely in a year. Nobody's done that before. We've seen some overhauls via the portal, but nothing like this. So this is the real test of what Deion can do. I mean, it would be hard to be worse than Colorado was last year, but I have no idea how this is going to work. The TCU. Well, I mean, they're like a 3-touchdown favorite here, so they're giving TCU some respect there, and Also interested to see Chandler Morris, how he'll perform. Remember, he beat out Max Duggan at the start last year until he got hurt in that game at Boulder, the opener that they won. And Chad Morris's son, might be the real deal there for TCU. Sonny's got some reloading to do himself there, but nothing like what Deion's trying to embark on here. It's a colorful game, and it's very interesting, but from a betting perspective, I'd stay away from this far away because you just have absolutely no idea what Colorado's going to look like.
Bruce, the very first time I ever heard you on Late Night with Ron Barr and then with Dave in this market, now 31 years in this market with Dave for a long time, afternoon and in mornings, and kind enough to be with us in the afternoon because in the retirement age years, you don't want to get up early in the morning. But it was the first thing that was really remarkable about your picks. You will pass on a pick. You just don't need it for the action. You like value. So with that, what's the first thing on the board tomorrow you think has some value?
Northern Illinois. So here I'll go off the beaten track. I know you guys like those picks, and I go on the MAC and leagues like that. But they're playing at Boston College tomorrow, getting 8.5 or so. Boston College is a very, very dubious favorite here. Considering one, their best weapon last year, Zay Flowers, very good receiver, is now in the NFL. Two, this was one of the worst attacks in the country last year. A little over 17 points per game. They ranked 121st. It was the lowest ranked rushing attack in the country last year, 63 yards per game. Their quarterback, Phil Dracovic, who actually got knocked out of the lineup late last season, he's at Pitt now. They were talking about him as a possible NFL draft pick last year. So now he's gone. And Emmett Moorhead came in late last year as the guy at quarterback. But they just move slow. I mean, they're as slow as the traffic through Boston, through the big dig, offensively. Northern Illinois is not bad. And Rocky Lombardi, their quarterback, who got hurt in the Vanderbilt game last year when they were winning, and their season sort of went sideways after that. But the former Michigan State transfer, he's back. They have a history of playing these games pretty competitively. Thomas Hammock seems like to run the football. They keep this thing close. So I'm going to give Northern Illinois a shot plus the points tomorrow up in Beantown.
I like that. Tomorrow afternoon, Washington, who I know a lot of people are very high on this season, starts their season against Boise State, who I've seen a lot of people predict could be the Group of 5 representative in the New Year's 6 bowl games. I think the line's about 14.5 right now in Seattle. How do you think this game plays out?
Yeah, Boise's interesting. Now they ended up turning things around for a slow start last year, and that came after a few changes internally. Andy Avalos fired his offensive coordinator late September. His quarterback, Hank Bachmeier, benched him, and Bachmeier left, put him in the portal. Now he's down at La Tech. Taylon Green, tall, lanky freshman who can run, took over at quarterback, and he's got a couple of good runners in Holani and Genti, who are a pretty good thunder and lightning combo. So they can run, and at times Green looks like he's a breakthrough quarterback. But the defense, which posted good numbers in the Mountain West outside of the league last year, not too much. So I just wonder if Boise took advantage of a lot of lesser teams last year in its own league. When they stepped up, didn't work too good. They got pounded at Oregon State last year too, though that was early in the season. I think Washington gets them tomorrow. I think this was the best team in the Pac-12 last year. I stick by that. Just by a quirk in the tiebreaker, they didn't get to play in the conference championship game. They did win at Texas in enemy territory in San Antonio in the Alamo Bowl. Michael Penix is a legit Heisman Trophy contender. Kalen DeBoer, look what he did at Fresno before he got to Washington. They made such an upgrade last year with him as a head coach. I think they get there tomorrow. So let's call it 38-17 Huskies. I think they take out Boise and they start themselves on a real cruise through into the top 10, and we'll keep an eye on Washington as the season goes on.
I like it. Tomorrow night, the college game day game on ABC, North Carolina versus South Carolina. I've gone back and forth on this one a lot. Right now, North Carolina, 2.5-point favorite in Charlotte. What do you like in this one?
I actually like a total here, and I'm a little leery on some of the overs because we're seeing a few more lower-scoring games than last night. Certainly we saw some. Though I think this one might lend itself to an over. Now, I'm kind of thinking the Spencer Rattler we saw down the stretch last year will be the Rattler we see tomorrow night. But he threw, as many touchdowns the last 3 games as he did the whole season before that prior. He was not looking good after the Oklahoma transfer until right at the end, and he had that huge game against Tennessee with the 6 TD passes and went and beat Clemson on the road pretty well against Notre Dame in the bowl, although the Gamecocks blew that one. But the offense seemed to perk up. So I'm having trouble coming to a side on this one. That's why I think the total might be better, because Drake May he's really good, and whenever he decides to come out to the NFL, they're talking about him as a potential first pick overall. The curious thing about the Tar Heels, Mac Brown, his coordinator Phil Longo left after last season, and he went out and he had to keep Drake May in the fold. May was a definite candidate to hit the portal. So he sort of let May help him find a new offensive coordinator. They arrived at Chip Lindsey, which I thought was a little curious, but that's who they both liked, and May approved that, apparently. So he's a new coordinator. But May is a real talent, and they can score points. I think this thing gets kind of wild. 36-34 Tar Heels. I think they win. I'm not sure about that spread. It's going to be close. But I do think we'll get kind of a shootout in Charlotte tomorrow, as long as the weather's okay. So I think that over is the way to look there.
Love that. That'd be fun.
Bright and early tomorrow morning in Nashville, Tennessee, playing Virginia. Tennessee laying a lot of points in that one, 27.5 on ABC at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, and I hate to kick Virginia because of what happened last year on campus at Charlottesville. They had to cancel their last 2 games, very sad stuff. However, before that, Tony Elliott did a terrible job with that team last year. And I remember being at ACC Media Day in Charlotte last year, and Elliott getting up there and telling everybody he was going to slow that offense down, and they were going to try to run the football and all this. And this is after they were highly productive. They might have gone even too fast the year before with Brennan Armstrong at quarterback, but he could obviously run an up-tempo and no huddle. And he just completely imploded last year. Couldn't do much, couldn't wait to get in the portal and leave. Elliott and that was a very potent offense they had the year before with Bronco Mendenhall, and it was one of the worst. It was the worst offense in the ACC, unless it was BC's, and one of the worst in the country last year. Now they had an opening at quarterback in the portal, and all the quarterbacks who were available, all they could get was a transfer from Monmouth in the FCS. So Muscat looks like he's going to be their new quarterback. And I point out, Tony Elliott, when he was at Clemson, he looked good coordinating an offense when he had Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. Once they were gone and DJ Ugalele was his quarterback 2 years ago, they cratered. So I think any of us three could have coordinated an offense with Trevor Lawrence or Watson. Jury is out on Tony Elliott. I do think Joe Milton's going to be just fine at quarterback. Listen, I've heard people say, well, Tennessee's going to have a big drop at quarterback. I don't buy that for 1 second. Josh Heupel had to make a pick. Remember, Milton started over Hooker 2 years ago at the beginning of the season. Hooker looked a little better early. Heupel decided to make the switch. But, Hooker never looked that good at Virginia Tech either. He looked great in this offense. Milton looked plenty good at the end of last season when he came in. The Vanderbilt game, they scored 56. He looked great in the Clemson game in the Orange Bowl. I think he'll do just what Hooker did. And he's been on the big stage his whole career, Michigan, Tennessee. I think Tennessee rules this one tomorrow, 45-10. Starts a very long season for Tony Elliott in Charlottesville.
Bruce, Sunday night, it was a thrilling game last year in Week 1 between LSU and Florida State. They meet again this year. LSU, a 2-point favorite. That total sitting at 56.5. Should be a really good game again this year. How do you see it?
Yeah, in Orlando, Sunday night it is. And it was a great game last year, although what a gut punch at the end for LSU to miss an extra point that would have put that thing into overtime after Daniels led them to that last-second TD drive. Very dramatic. He sort of came of age in that game in the second half. Very slow start for LSU and Daniels. He started to pick it up, and that sort of set the tone for the rest of the season for him. And when he gets going, he's just magical. And I think Brian Kelly's ability to organize everything, delegate. Well, he's hands-on, I know, but his staff knows what it's supposed to do, and they know when to get out of the way when the coach says to do something and what to do when he tells them to do something. So it's much different than what they have with Ed Orgeron, and they benefited last year. My question about Florida State is how good the Noles really are. I mean, I watched them a few other times last year. They didn't look that good against Wake Forest. NC State blew that game. Clemson wasn't the old Clemson last year and still beat them. They didn't look that good against Oklahoma in the bowl. I know Jordan Travis has got some peripheral support for the highs, and I'm not buying yet on Florida State. I know they won 10 last year, and Mike Norvell he had a lot to do there because he took over a program that really was on the ropes, and they have improved for him. But I think LSU gets them in this game. 30-24 Tigers. And by the way, they have only beaten them once since the very first Peach Bowl in '68. They beat them once in '82, and I think the other 8 games since Florida State has won, including last year. So time to get LSU back on the winning side in this series as well.
Good stuff. Inaugural Peach Bowl in Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium. It was Atlanta Fulton County. They didn't play at Grant, did they?
They played at Grant the first few years, and then they moved to Atlanta Fulton County. And I can tell you where I was the night of that. I remember that. It was during Christmas vacation, '68, and I was watching UCLA and Lou Alcindor play back in New York the same night, and they were talking about the Peach Bowl coming up after on the
Ms. Lou Network.
Wow.
Yeah. On the Ms. Lou Network. All right, Bruce, give us one of your classic. Bruce Marshall from BAMSports.net, wild picks that kind of off the beaten path.
Yeah, let's go back to the Mountain West here for this one. We got a Pac-12 team. It might be a Mountain West game next year. Washington State at Colorado State. Total 55.5. I think that's too high. And by the way, watch. I mean, the clock is moving more this year, so a few less plays in the game with the out of bounds and first down rules changing. The first down rule changing at the clock, so the clock's moving fast. But how about this? Last year, CSU 11-1 to the under. Washington State has been going under a lot lately too. 11-3 its last 14, dating to late 21. Jay Norvell's second year at Colorado State. They hope to improve, but they still got a lot of the same offensive pieces as last year. Quarterback Clay Millen got sacked 59 times. Washington State likes to blitz a lot. That's why he spent most of last season dumping the ball off, short flares, screens, digs, and that keeps the clock moving. Though, I mean, this is sort of like what we see with Air Force and Navy a lot. They just keep the ball. The clock moves, and it does with CSU because of the short passing game. And Washington State, Cam Ward is good, but their passing game is not that much a downfield game either. The clock is going to move in this game. The defenses are not bad either way, and 55.5 looks like a mountain. And it was sure a mountain last year for either of these two, especially CSU, which didn't score over 19 points in any game last year.
Wow.
So I'm going under in that one in what might be a future Mountain West matchup in Fort Collins.
Well, Bruce, it should be a fun weekend. Where can we find more of you?
Thanks, Brian. Check us out online, VegasInsider.com. All my picks up there, including some baseball games for tonight and every night, and, of course, football this week, and an NFL will come next week. Got a couple NFL early picks also for next week as well. VegasInsider.com. CBS Sportsline got some picks up there and some other things at Sportsline.com. And my new thing, BAMSports.net. Thanks for mentioning that earlier.
Absolutely.
Anybody goes on to BAMSports.net right now, they can put their email in, and we'll give you next week's copy of the next issue for free.
Very nice, very nice. Well, Bruce, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week.
Enjoy the weekend, boys. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
You got it. Good luck to you, Bruce Marshall, over the weekend. Those picks were great. How about that? A Washington State, Colorado State under.
I love it.
Never saw that one coming. Bruce Marshall, a staple on Memphis Sports Talk Radio since the early 90s. Now about 31 years he's been on these airwaves. At Sissy's Log Cabin, they start with us at SEC Media Days and at the golf tournament, and will be with us on Mondays as we look back at the SEC over the weekend. Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies, and the new location opening very soon at 4542 Poplar. Bill Jones and his great team, they're here to stay. A lot of people kind of blow in overnight with a lot of noise, and then they're gone. Not Sissy's Log Cabin, here to stay. Supporter of Tigers Athletics. As you're listening to the games, you'll hear them proudly being a part of that sponsorship and a sponsor of our look back at the weekend in the SEC on Mondays at 4:30. Mid-South's largest selection of one-of-a-kind jewelry for that special occasion, the once-in-a-lifetime occasion. Engagement rings, wedding bands, rings, necklaces, and earrings. 9,000 square foot store in Laurelwood with expanded lines for Rolex, Cartier, diamonds, and more. Since 1970, with 6 locations across Arkansas and Tennessee, Sissy's, they offer a selection of diamonds, estate jewelry, and fine gifts. Official jeweler for the Memphis Grizzlies and FedEx Forum with floor seat lounge, unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary experience. Because as Bill Jones always says, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
We got to get to a break. When we come back, we'll get to our final batch of wins and losses. USF, UAB, Alabama, and Arkansas. That's next.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Memphis Public Links has so much going on right now. Audubon is right around the fairway. Wait until you see when this thing is a finished product. Fox Meadows is in great shape. The Links at Pine Hill is now a masterpiece of a place to play, as are really all the other Memphis public golf courses. And by the way, folks, it's so easy to make a tee time. You go online to memphispubliclinks.com, select your course, then grab your tee time. Also, on the website is a schedule of upcoming events. There you'll find something that will interest you, but I'll tell you about a couple of things coming up right now. September 9th and 10th, the 4-ball championship at Pine Hill and Fox Meadows with regular and senior men's divisions, 36 holes, best ball format, $200 for the team, and that includes greens fees, cart fees, and prizes. Again, if you want to book a tee time or find out more about tournaments or other events at any of the great Memphis public golf courses, go online to memphispubliclinks.com. There's better play every day on the Memphis Public Links.
With Labor Day and football season right around the corner, now's the perfect time to head on down to Memphis Barbecue Supply for all your cookout needs. Whether you need fuel, equipment, or seasoning, we have it all and more in store. We boast the largest selection of fuel and wood in the Mid-South. You'll be covered on all your kindling needs, from pellets to logs to chunk and chip, and of course, briquette and lump charcoals. We have many different varieties available to choose from. Speaking of variety, we encourage you to browse our selection of over 300 different rubs and sauces. Our knowledgeable staff is always available to assist with any questions you may have for your next cook. So stop on by and let's get you set up right for this barbecue season at Memphis Barbecue Supply. Memphis Barbecue Supply is located at 7041 Stage Road in Memphis, or you can order online at mbbq.com. Follow us on all the social media platforms for recipes, new products, and barbecue news.
Uncorn flavor, Corky's Barbecue.
Hi, Jimmy Stovall here with Corky's Barbecue. A great way to beat the heat this summer is to stop into Corky's for happy hour and let us pour you an ice-cold draft beer. Corky's has the best happy hour deals around with our selection of local craft beers on draft for only $2. And check out our appetizer specials, including dollar wings and half order of barbecue nachos. Stop into any Memphis area location Monday through Friday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And if you're in East Memphis, check out our newly renovated location and enjoy our new patio.
Are you working way too hard for way too little? There's never been a better time to consider a career in IT. You could enjoy a recession-resistant career in a rewarding field with plenty of growth opportunities and often flexible work environments. Go to My Computer Career and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new career in months, not years. Take classes online or on campus, and financial aid is available to qualified students, including the GI Bill. Now is the time. mycomputercareer.edu.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Is your roof leaking? Do you have water damage on your ceiling of your home or business? Do you need assistance gathering much-needed data and images from your storm-damaged roof for an insurance claim? Call Metro Builders, roof and restoration specialists, and schedule your free inspection. At Metro Builders, our team of Hague-certified technicians and fully trained estimators are ready to come out and evaluate any concerns you may have. Metro Builders Roof and Restoration. We accept all insurance carrier scopes. Call Metro Builders now. Each and every day, we provide clients many different types of data and estimates for their insurance carrier. These include estimate and photo reports of all damage, from the roof to water damage on rafters and ceilings and even studs and plates inside walls. Check out the local BBB for our 27-year history in construction in Memphis, or check us out online today at metrobuildersmemphis.com. That's metrobuildersmemphis.com for your local residential and commercial roofing and restoration experts. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. We're in the Family Leisure Studios, and we got to get to our final batch of wins and losses. What are we doing right now? USF, UAB, Alabama, and Arkansas. So let's start in the American, and let's start with USF. I'll go first on USF. I have them,
this is because we have to, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately. I have USF going 1-11 this year, with their only win coming in
That's right to the chops for USF, isn't it?
Yeah, the only win coming against FAMU in week 2. That's a home game, but I mean, Alabama is a loss. Opening at Western Kentucky is a loss. Rice loss at Navy.
That's Bama
loss.
At home, isn't it?
Bama at home. Yeah, wow, that's interesting to see.
In the world, Bama do that far.
Yeah, good Lord. Tough conference schedule, I think, for USF. You've got to go to UAB. You've got to go to Navy. You got to go to UConn, even though that's not a conference game. You're not going up to Stores and walking away with a victory. You got to come to Memphis, go to
good UConn effort last night.
Cover the spread against NC State. So I just don't think this is going to be a very good year for USF. I have them 1-11.
I'm a little better than that. I'm 4-8, 3-5 in the league. My 4 wins over FAMU, Florida A&M, wins a win over Rice, a win at Navy, and a win over Temple. Boy, my common denominator was like anything for Rice and Navy and Temple was about a loss this year.
Yeah.
Jay Morgan?
I have 3-9 for the Bulls. I have them losing to Western Kentucky, losing to beating Florida A&M, losing to Alabama, beating Rice, losing to Navy. So they're splitting their first 5 games there, but then they get a string of losing. Lose at UAB, because I like UAB. Lose at Florida Atlantic. Lose at UConn. That was kind of a flyer I took there. Lose at Memphis. Lose against Temple. Lose at UTSA. And then they beat Charlotte last game of the year.
And there was a time, if we thought we had this wanton conference realignment that we've gone through, there was a time people thought USF would be in the middle of it and get the big uptick and big steps backwards.
Yeah, big steps backwards. So, 1-11 for me is the worst I have of any team we've picked in either conference. All right, now to UAB. The Trent Dilfer era starts in Birmingham. They started last night on a Thursday and got the win. I don't believe they covered. I could be wrong. I have them going 7-5. A win last night, a win at Georgia Southern, but then you lose 3 straight games against Louisiana, at Georgia and Athens, at Tulane. Then you beat USF. Then another pair of losses at UTSA and home against Memphis. But then after an off week, I have you winning your final 4 games of the season for UAB. Florida Atlantic, at Navy, Temple, and at North Texas are all wins that get UAB bowl eligible in year 1 for Dilfer.
That's a cozy November for UAB. They got the win last night. We all had that. I have UAB 9-3. That may be a little too optimistic. 6-2 in the league, and including a win at home over the Tigers. I don't know how much I believe in any of that. My 3 losses at Georgia, at Tulane, at Texas San Antonio. Jay Morgan?
I have got the UAB Blazers, not bowl eligible, 5-7, but really close. I mean, that puts them right.
You love UAB.
Well, that's higher than some people have them.
True.
So I have North Carolina A&T winning at Georgia Southern, winning against Louisiana. So that's 3-0 to start the year. Unfortunately, they cannot beat Georgia. They'll lose that one, and they'll probably lose at Tulane as well. Beat South Florida, though. Lose at UTSA. That's a good team. Lose at home against Memphis. Off the bye, they lose to FAU. They're just too good for them. They beat Navy, though. They lose to Temple, and they lose at North Texas, 5-7. But they could get 6 out of that.
Sure. Yeah, okay.
All right, quickly, let's do Alabama because I think there's consensus. I have 11-1, the only loss at College Station, 2 straight at College Station to Jimbo Fisher for mentor over the protege. Bama wins regular season against Tennessee, but loses in the rematch in the SEC championship game. But regular season, 11-1.
I have Alabama 10-2 this year. My only 2 losses. I've got a win tomorrow with Jalen Milroe in at starter, but then against Texas, I have a loss. Texas might be back, and that could definitely start the screaming of Texas is back if they can beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. My second loss comes down in November at home against LSU. So 2 home losses. I know a lot of fans won't be happy with that. But those are 2 very tough opponents. I'm going 10-2. Jay Morgan.
I also have them going 10-2. I've got them winning every game until they get to Tennessee because Tennessee's not losing a game. Don't forget here. Yep. And Tennessee's game this weekend is supposed to be in theaters. More on that in a minute because it's not going to be here in Memphis. And the last game of the year, I've got Alabama losing to Auburn in the Iron Bowl. They do not go there.
Hugh Freeze knows how to beat Alabama.
That's a throw the records out game. I think they win that game, and Hugh Freeze carries that momentum into next season.
How about that?
Boy, he's gotten a lot of mileage out of those 2 wins, didn't he?
He sure did.
He sure did. To Arkansas, final team, Arkansas. Brett, what do you got Arkansas going this year?
I have Arkansas 7-5, but like Ole Miss, like Mississippi State, a lot of those kind of squishy 7-5, 6-6s. Yes, they could overperform. You get on the right side of the injury bug, and everything kind of magical, like Ole Miss had for 2 years ago with Matt Corral. And I think KJ Jefferson fits more the Matt Corral upperclassman, experienced quarterback than almost anyone else. Even Will Rogers, with the different things that KJ Jefferson can do at quarterback. Open tomorrow in Little Rock at noon against Western Carolina. Win. Beat Kent next week in Fayetteville. That's a win. Very serious game against very serious trap game. Looking ahead to LSU in the rematch with BYU, but they beat them 3-0. Lose at Baton Rouge. Lose in Arlington in the neutral that's not so neutral to Texas A&M. Lose in Oxford because it is in Oxford. Lose at Tuscaloosa for a lot of reasons. And then beat State at Fayetteville, open date. I got a loss right now to Florida, and I sure don't believe that after last night. I've got a win against Auburn in Fayetteville. Hugh Freeze trying to win 2 years in a row in Fayetteville, won last year there with Liberty. Beat FIU in Fayetteville and defeat Mizzou on the Friday after Thanksgiving. 7-5 that easily could be 9-3. I don't think it'll go below 6-6 anyway.
Yeah. I have Arkansas a little bit better than you, 1 game better than you. 8-4 for the Razorbacks. I have them starting 3-0, just like you. Western Carolina, Kent, and BYU all wins, but then back-to-back losses against LSU and Texas A&M. I have them winning in Oxford against Ole Miss. That's always a great game between Arkansas and Ole Miss, but I think Arkansas slightly comes out on top. I've got a loss against Alabama, a win against Mississippi State. You've got your off week, and then 3 straight wins, Florida, Auburn, and FIU, before losing the final game of the season to Missouri.
In that game in Oxford, you can get ready for this right now. Any time of day it's played, really almost anywhere, but especially in Oxford, somebody's going to have the ball, make or stop with a minute and a half to play.
Absolutely. It's always a game like that. Every single year. Yep.
I'm 7-5 as well for Arkansas. I believe it's the exact same as you, Brett. Wins at Western Carolina to start 3-0, lose 4 straight. I think they beat State. I also have them losing to Florida coming out of the bye. And after last night, that does make me a little worried about that, but they're going to lose a game they shouldn't lose down the stretch of this season, and I think it very well could be Florida in Gainesville. They beat Auburn, beat FIU, and beat Missouri last game of the year.
Yeah.
All right, this weekend, over the whole course of the weekend, from now through Monday night, a lot of football. And we're going to do it with NFL. We'll incorporate an NFL weekend, but just from college and NFL, something that you can count on. We want people to play along at home like this. Here's our bingo card. We'll do it every Friday for something coming up in the weekend. It can be a play. It can be an announcer. It can be a special moment. I'm keeping in mind, I'm not going to do this every week, but I'm keeping in mind this week to all own game day, and you can get ready for this. It's a lot of new that's come to game day, but one thing you can count on, and I'm going to say by the 10-minute mark of the Open, when they throw it to Desmond Howard and he goes, I tell you what, just tell us, Desmond, you don't have to send the warning shot every time you do it. Just tell us, I tell you what. And you can get ready for that from Desmond Howard. Also, the very uncomfortable nature that often when Lee Corso now is on camera. It's almost like it's Mitch McConnell debating Joe Biden when he comes on the camera. Get ready for a discomfort with that. And then in the end, what makes it all work, how Kirk Herbstreit always stands out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's sad when you talk about Corso, and just last year was kind of the real big year that it was every single week there was that moment.
I say if he has that really, and I'm afraid at that age and health things, like we see with public figures, he could have that moment. I think it will be heavy criticism deserved on them for rolling him out there.
I think so, too.
All right, your bingo card.
My bingo card, at least one top 25 team loses to an unranked team this weekend, which is kind of hard to put on a bingo card because when you look at the schedule this week, a lot of ranked teams playing teams that they should dominate, but there's a couple I could see happening. I think that happens to at least one top 25 team. They get upsetted by an unranked team. My second on the bingo card, we're going to get this big, overproduced, animated video or graphic coming back from a break that gets us up to speed on all the conference realignment. It will be, the country with these
maps.
Yeah, and with these mascots running over to this conference and this conference and that conference. You're going to see that probably multiple times tomorrow, but you'll get it at least once. The last one, this one's a wild card. I think no matter win, loss, blowout, close game, you're going to hear at least 3 other commentators throughout the day talk about what Deion Sanders and Colorado did in their first game. It's going to be talked about all day. I think you're going to hear it on every broadcast. Something that Prime did in his first game will be talked about in at least 3 other games.
Great take. Did y'all, by any chance, if y'all caught on FS1 the sit-down interview with Joel Klatt with Prime?
I've not. I've heard it's good.
I saw it on FS2 the other morning, actually. Yeah,
it's must-see.
Yeah,
and he kind of goes out of Prime character, and he's just talking kind of in normal voice. He's not in animated sales pitch voice. And what it reminded me of is when Muhammad Ali would turn the showman off and kind of be serious.
Right.
Just how brilliant that he was and how brilliant that Deion Sanders is. And when he looked over at Joel Klatt, he goes, I tell you why I'm going to do this. I'm a winner. I loved it.
Oh,
you got to watch it. Jay Morgan?
I'm going to have to watch it.
My bingo card, bingo starts with a free space, right?
Sure
So I got to give a free space first. And my free space on my card here is Petros Papadakis. All he's got to do is show up on FS1 at 10 o'clock and do his color commentary. He's college football's late-night personality. Back in the day, it was college football final, right, with Mark May and Coach Lou Holtz and Reese Davis. Nowadays, we got Petros Papadakis doing whatever game they put on FS1 at 10 o'clock at night. That's my free space. He's going to show up and do a great job. And my second two are both Iowa-related. The first one is Iowa just does something Iowa. And I was going to just leave it there, but like you said, Brian, it seems a little broad, so I got a little more specific.
Iowa goes Iowa? I like it.
Something like they have more sacks than yards from scrimmage or something like that. I mean, that would be something that Iowa's doing in week one.
Yes.
And more penalty yards than passing yards.
Exactly.
Yes.
That, you see, Brett gets it. Brett totally understands.
He knows how to play
Iowa
the
does
game.
something Iowa-related. And the last one's also Iowa-related. It's also Iowa doing something Iowa, but it's even more specific. Iowa downs a punt inside the 5. That is a lock of the century right there.
Yep.
It's going to be a beautiful punt. They're playing special teams better than anybody in the country.
I like it. All right. So
play along at home.
Hope you
we will go over
down.
these next week.
We will. So keep an eye on them. See what gets said, what happens over the weekend on our first college football Saturday of the season. But let's get to a break. And when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hotsy Pressure Washers and Detail Supplies of Memphis takes it all off. They are the #1 cleaning and equipment provider, period. Big or small, Hotsy has the solution. From hot water and cold water pressure washers to industrial soaps and detail supplies, Hotsy has you covered. For our Sports 56 fans, you get 20% off all detail products, so don't miss out on this amazing deal. Call Hotsy today, 901-379-0550, or visit their showroom, conveniently located at Austin P and I-40.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Innovation Refund's been helping small businesses that qualify to get a business payroll tax refund through the Employee Retention Credit, also known as ERC. Filing's complex. Innovation Refund's dedicated to helping business owners navigate the process. Innovation Refund survey research shows that a large number of small businesses who had from 5 to 500 full-time employees in 2020 and 2021 might be eligible for an ERC tax deduction. If your business faced challenges to the growth that it would have had without pandemic government orders, it may be eligible for a substantial refund too. Innovation Refunds works with an independent network of tax professionals. They'll share information with them to evaluate and process your claims. Terms and conditions apply. Go to innovationrefunds.com, see if you qualify. No upfront charge. They don't get paid unless you do. Or call 1-843-REFUNDS, 1-843-REFUNDS, or go to innovationrefunds.com.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brown. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
All right, a football Friday. Who wants to go first?
I'll be glad to.
Please, Brett.
I'll go 30. The last 30 games for the Florida Gators, 12-18.
Wow.
3 wins by 3. 2 over FCS teams, 2 versus USF, and another one over FAU.
Wow, that's
Their
great.
Gold Star win was last year on opening night.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And couldn't give
12
them
and
last night.
18, the last 30 for the Gators.
That's not great. That is not great. Jay Morgan, do you want to go now?
I always like when you go first, but I'll go if you want, Brian.
Yeah, please.
Do you want me to go first?
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
I'll go next. My big number, because it kind of ties in right with a Florida big number, because mine's also a Florida big number. 34 is my big number. Yesterday, I talked about the last time Florida had played a true road non-conference game outside the state of Florida. But after that loss last night, the Gators still have not won a true road non-conference game outside the state of Florida in 34 years since beating the University of Memphis on September 23rd, 1989. That was the year after Memphis went down to the Swamp and beat Florida. I was informed by my father, who was at that game. So 34 years since the Gators have won a true road non-conference game outside the state of Florida, and just so happened it was a win over the Tigers.
You know, I think in that stretch, Florida came to then the Liberty Bowl and played, I think it was a 1 out of 2 or 3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, long time for Florida. Go ahead, Jim Morgan.
My big number today, and I know this is sacrilege, and I apologize. It's college football weekend. It's week 1. I've got a baseball big number.
And I know what your big
because
number's gonna
I've
be.
been waiting for this day for so long. It makes me so excited. My big number today is just 1. Because it's the first game of the career for one Ronnie Mauricio today and Jason Dominguez, and we got them all going on.
That's your big number today?
The debuts. I've been waiting for this forever. The Martian and Ronnie Mauricio.
You set it up so perfectly that I thought I knew just exactly what your big number was. Couldn't have been more off. I thought it was going to be baseball.
What uniform numbers are they wearing? Do you know?
No idea.
Because there's a lot of weird Yankee numbers because of all the retired numbers.
I think I saw their numbers, but you'd have to give me a minute.
Ronnie Mauricio will be on Apple TV Plus, and I can't recommend enough. A shortstop, second baseman. He's playing second tonight. Hits both ways, left and right. Hits with power both ways too. Unbelievable prospect. You're gonna like what you see if you play fantasy and you can keep somebody. Get this kid now before somebody else does.
That next great wave of Yankees really could take out all kind of the prime numbers. You see a lot of 70 and 71 and things like that now with the Yankees.
So Dominguez is going to wear 89 tonight.
How about that?
And Wells, the catcher they called up, is going to wear 88. So,
what about Ronnie Mauricio? My big number was really about. I like Jason Dominguez. Don't get me wrong.
I bet they would stay with both those numbers for as regulars next year coming out of camp.
No, I think that's
he wore number 10. That's his number.
Your jersey. Really? Wow.
10's not retired for Phil Rizzuto?
No. Ronnie Mauricio's a Met.
Yeah, different team.
Both in New York.
I'm sorry.
I was vague because I said they're both in New York tonight. It wasn't well set up. I apologize.
That was a poor setup on his
I was
part.
getting ready to say, wow, that ooh.
But I tell you what, you were
Scooter
really
would have a word with him.
Yeah.
These guys will legitimately be the future of Major League Baseball in a big way. Staples in the league for a long time. You're going to enjoy watching them tonight.
Speaking of big, and I loved him last year, he can't stay in there long, I think, because of conditioning. How about Desmond Watson for Florida, the defensive lineman wearing number 21, playing D-line? Listed at 439.
Big boy.
Look, I don't make a habit of checking out guys' rear ends, but his looks like the front of my vehicle.
Size matters, Brett, especially in the SEC. It just means more and more size for Florida.
439, and he's in there largely on run downs, but my goodness, what a big guy.
That's a big boy right there for sure. And TCU has a big guy on their roster that everyone's been talking about how big defensive lineman he is. Just a ginormous human. But Jay Moore, I really am. I'm disappointed in you. I mean, I can't paint it any other way. Disappointed in you from start to finish, from everything you've preached.
It sounds like
since baseball started this year. I'm disappointed in you.
It sounds like you're more disappointed because you didn't guess it right, more so than disappointed in the big number
disappointed
itself.
in you.
Well, your disappointment started, Bryant, when you were upset. You didn't even comment on the big number or the players themselves. All you said was, "That's not what I thought it was going to be." I didn't think that was going to be the big number. So, Bryant, your disappointment's more in yourself.
And I'm disappointed in all of us. We all hinted around loving the under last night in Utah and Florida, but we didn't really sell it with a lot of conviction.
Right. Well,
and it was easy.
Well, that's week
even
one
after the first play.
Chalk it up to week one. Let me see how the guys run around out there before.
But we got there with Rhode Island.
Oh yeah, we did. That was a fun game. That was a very fun game.
They had over 400 yards of offense against Georgia State. Really should have won the game.
Should have. I mean, tied game. Should have won that game last night.
And got a terrible spot late in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, that was a fun game. I had that. That was on one of my main screens last night, Brett. So we were locked into Rhode Island.
How many screens? What was the peak screens?
How many?
How many?
And how many of them are main? Because you said it's one of your main screens. So how many screens and how many main ones are?
So I think peak was like 4, 8 or 9 probably.
Wow, beautiful.
And a main, it was like either on my phone or like on full screen on my computer. So I just had it on all the time.
Was Connor near you? Did he have screens up?
Yeah, no, Connor had screens up as well. But Connor came home.
But you have one on the TV, right?
Oh, yeah.
But that's not the main screen. Your
no,
phone
that's
or computer
I said
is the
one
main
of
screen.
my main screens. I wasn't sharing screen time, Connor came home, demanded the remote. He says, "You don't know how to channel surf when games are on." And so he demanded
It's a pressure job.
I believe it.
Well, he was terrible as well. I mean, he's flipping over. We've got
gotta be focused.
like a penalty in UConn and
You can watch
NC State. I'm like, let's change it back to Florida. I mean, what are we doing?
You can watch the entirety of 2 games with one TV if you're good with a remote. I'm telling you right now.
The problem is I get worked up about it. I'm like, let's get back to a game, and then Connor will do something like, "What is second round? What's on ESPN2 right now that says second round?" I'm like,
that.
"It's tennis, Connor. We don't need to go to ESPN2." And he's like, "Well, I just want to make sure." And he'll go to ESPN2. It's ridiculous.
Vanderpump Rules? I've heard of this. Let's see what this is all about.
Let's see what this is about. I am disappointed though, Jay Morgan. I thought you were going to go first player to go 30-60 for Ronald Acuna.
How about you make that your big number?
With his home run. Just did. How about that? I just made it my second big number of the day.
There you go.
You, Jay Morgan. Before we get to a break, I got to tell you about 117 Prime because I know there's going to be a lot of fun to be had, a lot of games to be watched. Week 1 of college football, but you need a night out. You need to enjoy yourself. So let me point you into the direction of 117 Prime. Located at 117 Union Avenue, opening 4 p.m. daily, 117 Prime offers perfect steaks cooked to your liking over hickory wood for the best flavor in town. And the meat, it's regionally sourced for the best taste, so you don't have to worry about it traveling cross country like at some of these other steakhouses. Pair your steak with a wine from their award-winning wine menu or switch it up with their wine of the month. If you're not a fan of beef, no problem. 117 Prime also offers outstanding seafood like oyster, shrimp, and lobster. Also, get down there right now. There's still time to enjoy their happy hour from 4 to 6, Tuesday through Saturday, for the best happy hour that downtown Memphis has to offer. To make reservations, head over to 117prime.com or give them a call, 901-433-9851. That's 901-433-9851 for 117 Prime. Let's wrap up hour number 2. When we get back, we'll talk about the Razorbacks with Ty Richardson.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer, Skelton, Hyundai, Genesis.
Simple, smooth, and every sip is easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps, fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Everyone agrees that 117 Prime is Memphis's premier downtown dining experience. But what if you could go one step further and have 117 Prime at home? As hard as it is to believe, 117 Prime, which features some of the best food in Memphis, is available for curbside or takeout. Imagine just swinging by Prime and picking up not just something good, but something great. 117 Prime makes the best steaks in Memphis, and you could eat it in your living room. The best food in Memphis. Enjoy the way you really want to. Pantsless.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Is your roof leaking? Do you have water damage on your ceiling of your home or business? Do you need assistance gathering much-needed data and images from your storm-damaged roof for an insurance claim? Call Metro Builders, roof and restoration specialists, and schedule your free inspection. At Metro Builders, our team of Hague-certified technicians and fully trained estimators are ready to come out and evaluate any concerns you may have. Metro Builders Roof and Restoration. We accept all insurance carrier scopes. Call Metro Builders now. Each and every day, we provide clients many different types of data and estimates for their insurance carrier. These include estimate and photo reports of all damage, from the roof to water damage on rafters and ceilings and even studs and plates inside walls. Check out the local BBB for our 27-year history in construction in Memphis, or check us out online today at metrobuildersmemphis.com. That's metrobuildersmemphis.com for your local residential and commercial roofing and restoration experts. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company at Collierville. Once again, here are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
If I go crazy, then will you still
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you from the Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now from ESPN Arkansas to talk about the Razorbacks, Ty Richardson joins us now. Ty, thanks so much for joining us. Week 1 kicks off tomorrow for the Razorbacks in Little Rock. What is the excitement like around town going into this season?
Well, guys, it's crazy. I mean, it's exciting, and I know people are cannot wait to get this game rolling tomorrow at 12 o'clock, even though it got moved up a little bit.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a walkover tomorrow. It'll be a lot of fun for the Central Arkansas fans. You used to be one of those. What was your first Razorback game at War Memorial, Ty?
Man, Brent, I'm glad you brought that up. I want to say it was probably around the time of Carlos Hall, the block at the Rock, South Carolina.
Carlos Hall from Mariana in our listening area.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I specifically brought that up. It's probably kind of in that neck of the woods. I was in the back of the end zone with Matt Jones for the corner of Birmingham in 2002. That's kind of where I truly became an Arkansas Razorback fan. It's right then and there, and it's kind of come full circle that I get to work with Matt Jones now at ESPN Arkansas.
How about that? And one of the great athletes ever on the basketball court. Could have played wide receiver, could have been in the slot, quarterback. You could have put weight on him and made him a tight end. Once upon a time, the defensive coaches probably would have been wanting him to rush a quarterback. He was such a great athlete. But, Ty, do you think we're approaching the end of War Memorial games?
I think so. And maybe some of your listeners who, again, we got a lot of Memphis people, some Eastern Arkansas listeners as well, and maybe that's the one game a year they travel to if they're an Arkansas fan or if they're just a college football fan. But I had someone who's a Little Rock guy who's actually my family doctor I was talking with earlier this week, and he's born and raised in Little Rock, went to Little Rock Hall, and he described it as the juice is gone. And he's right.
Yeah,
there'll be some juice in 2025 when the guys from Jonesboro travel down to Little Rock. That game will be sold out. A lot of A-State fans will be at that game hoping they can beat the Razorbacks. But, I mean, if you don't put a marquee opponent in War Memorial, then you're not going to sell it out. It's not going to be crazy. A couple years ago against Missouri, it just fired Chad Morris. Maybe you get some appetite around that game being around Thanksgiving. But no LSU, no marquee SEC team. It's not ever going to reach 52,000 again, Brett, I don't think, Brian.
And to think of the big boys of college football that's come through War Memorial, USC, Miami, Texas, often in the Southwest Conference, Houston in the Southwest Conference, all the great games. A&M, a big win over A&M in 75 to secure a Cotton Bowl bid. My first game was either 72 or 73 for a Razorback game at War Memorial. I even went to an Arkansas State Abilene Christian game before I went to a Razorback game at War Memorial. My Boy Scout troop, or maybe a Little League football team, we went to that in biblical rain for Abilene Christian against Arkansas State. But my first game was 72 or 73 Razorbacks against North Texas State.
That's awesome. Yeah, and for those that don't know, Fayetteville back in the day did not used to have lights. So the marquee stadium in the state was in Little Rock.
No
at
doubt.
War Memorial. Wow. And the bigger games were at War Memorial a lot of times. Brett just rattled some of them off.
Stanford?
Yeah, I mean, there have been some huge ones, but, I mean, it's changed, right? You've invested so much in the north and south end zones, and you look at what Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium is now.
No comparison.
I mean, it would be the equivalent, and this isn't a perfect example, but it would be the equivalent of the Tennessee Volunteers playing a game in Jackson or Memphis playing a game in Jackson. It just doesn't I know
Ole Miss going back to Jackson, Mississippi to play, or State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is a perfect example.
That's the perfect example right there. And Ole Miss fans would be like, no, we're playing the games in Vaught Hemingway. And I get that. And listen, I'm a Little Rock guy. I have some of the best memories my entire life are in that stadium. But I also know it behooves the Arkansas football program to play all their games in Fayetteville. And rubbers meeting the road. Time to get on board.
Mm-hmm.
Tell your doctor, and I can, just reading about it, never been to a game, went to a game, but reading the old Arkansas Gazette and had one of the great preps writer in the country, Wadey Moore, writing about the Little Rock Hall against Little Rock Central game. I'm telling you, that was Ohio State versus Michigan in the daytime. You tell your doctor I got a Hall High versus Central High mentioned in.
You know what's crazy, Brett? So for those who don't know, I think a lot of people listening, when they associate Central, their mind first goes to Little Rock 9, and it's hard to refute that because that's where mine goes. But their football program, like Brett's saying, used to be
They were
dominant.
kings.
And now it's garbage. Like my alma mater, Little Rock Christian, which has no business beating them like a drum. They beat them like 63-0 a week or so ago. No business doing that to one of the prime high schools in the entire state. But that football program since the mid-2000s, I think they lost their longtime head coach, if I remember that right. It's gone by the wayside, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I know Central Arkansas is more basketball-based, but Little Rock Central should never be as bad at football as they are right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ty, we made our predictions for Arkansas earlier today. I have them at 8-4 this series or this year. When you look at this team, how do you think they'll do this year? What's your prediction for the Razorbacks?
You're right on the money, Brian. That's where I got them, 8-4. Now, your 8-4 is going to look a lot different than my 8-4.
Yeah.
Listen to this, and I feel this way. This is not me just talking bluster. This is not me pulling a Colin Cowherd. This is how I legitimately think this is going to happen. I think Arkansas is going to go to Baton Rouge and Tuscaloosa and win those games.
Whoa.
I also think they're going to lose home games to Auburn and Mississippi State. So they're going to win the toughest games on their schedule in Bryant-Denny Stadium and in Death Valley, and yet lose 2 of their 3 SEC games at home. Two teams that I would consider beneath them this year in the Auburn Tigers and Mississippi State. It's going to be a weird year in college football in the West. That's how I have it playing out for Arkansas, guys.
I think the fan base would accept that. Ty, I think they go, okay, I'll sign up for that right now. Win at Red Stick, win at BDS. Yeah.
No question. Brett, you hadn't won in Tuscaloosa since 2003. You hadn't beaten those suckers since 2006. I mean,
hadn't beat Saban yet.
Yeah, hadn't beat Saban. Think about that. So Tennessee finally did it last year. Josh Heupel able to get it done. Credit to the Volunteers. But Arkansas, again, they've gone through Nutt, and he only had 1 year, so that's not really fair to him. They went through Petrino. They went through Bielema. Morris doesn't really count. Pittman almost got him 2 years ago in Tuscaloosa. Last year, they were down 5 in the fourth quarter, and then Jalen Milroe took off for about 78 yards. So they've been close at points. They hadn't capitalized against Old Nicky.
Yeah.
We don't have to call any names. I just want to ask you, I know you mix and mingle with a lot of insiders and a lot of people that know a lot about the program. Have you had anybody that you respect, maybe even off there, not spelling it out on airwaves? You had anybody off there paying a double-digit win season to you that you find credible?
With Arkansas, no, and I wish I could tell you yes, but I mean 10-2 is virtually impossible with that 4-game stretch, because what would have to happen, for those who don't know, Arkansas starts a 4-game stretch going to Death Valley, to Jerry World to take on A&M, to Oxford, Mississippi to take on Ole Miss, which I have them losing to the Rebels, and then to Alabama. I think they can get 2 of 4, but then you're asking them to go undefeated in every single other game this fall, and I just don't think that's conceivable, to be honest, guys.
And you highlight the 4, but it's really 6 with BYU at Fayetteville and State at Fayetteville.
Yeah.
And that 4 sandwiched in between.
You know what? Honestly, you're right. And I think you and I had this conversation off air, Brett, because BYU, while they've changed quarterbacks and they've lost some guys, they're getting a crack at an SEC opponent on the road. And every group of 5, and I know technically they're a Power 5 move in Big 12, you relish that opportunity. And he'll have his guys ready to play that night. It's a 6:30 kickoff. It's on ESPN2. It's going to be a marquee game. You'll have a lot of people from Provo and Utah that'll come here. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah. And you can get ready for this. A lot of something through the echo of the whistle, a lot of something at the bottom of the pile. And, man, they can't help but go low. They do.
I've heard that from not just you, but some other fan bases as well. So that'll be an intriguing game, but this is what you relish, man. I mean, starting tomorrow, I know, again, week 0, we had it. I said we saw Caleb Williams. Maybe 1 million people saw Caleb Williams considering the network he was on. You got some other games here and there. I guess Notre Dame swamping Navy and Ireland was okay. But,
sure.
I mean, this is where it really starts tomorrow, guys.
Absolutely. Talking to Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas. And Ty, you talked about we've seen a couple of college football games so far, but it really gets started tomorrow. When you look at Arkansas' schedule, we've seen a couple of their opponents already. The big one being Florida last night against Utah. What did you see from Florida, and how good of a chance, I guess, do you think Arkansas has to go down to Gainesville and get a win in November?
If they can't win this year, they're never going to win in the Swamp, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, this Florida team's bad. Brett, I remember we were talking about this at media days, and I just am not a Grant Mertz believer. I'm not a Billy Napier believer. I think there could be a change midseason, if not right after the season.
Wow.
I just don't see that working out. And so, again, while they're coming off the Georgia win, or the loss, excuse me, because they're losing to Georgia, they might get killed. Arkansas's coming off a bye. If you can't win that game against the Swamp and what looks to be an inept Florida football team, you got no chance ever to be what's not going to be a talentless Gators team for long once they transition to coaches, I think, at some point.
Yeah, I'm with you, 1-10 all time against Florida, but that one win came at Razorback Stadium, and this is the year. Where are your listeners? Where are your audience? Where are they on wins and losses? Nobody goes down to 6, do they?
No, I think it's from what I can tell, it's about 8 or 9. Now, listeners, as you know, Brett, are typically more positive than negative. I've heard some 7s here and there, but really it's been about 8. And I think Arkansas fans would be happy if they saw a similar season to what they saw 2 years ago, where you get 8 regular season
Go to
wins.
Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, Florida, I know Coach Pittman was really, really advocating to go to a Florida Bowl. He got it. Maybe you go to Orlando or another, again.
Oh, you know who I want in Florida. Razorbacks versus Big Bird against Brett Bielema.
Oh, listen, I think a lot of people would love to see that matchup take place, and I'm one of those guys.
Ty, when you look at this depth chart that came out earlier this week for Arkansas, we know all about the quarterback, we know all about the running back, but when you look at this offensive line, especially the interior offensive line, a lot of experience, a lot of age there, redshirt senior, redshirt junior projected starters, but those tackles, a pair of young guys, a redshirt freshman, and then a local guy here in Memphis, Patrick Kudus, a sophomore, expected to start at right tackle. When you look at this offensive line, how good can it be for the run game and protecting your quarterback?
Let's start with the young man from Memphis, Christian Brothers High School, Patrick Kudus.
Great story.
This kid apparently is just a beast.
Yeah.
And you ask defensive linemen, you ask quarterbacks, apparently this dude's just a freak as an underclassman, which I think it is, Brian. You pointed it out pretty. You're strong up the middle in terms of age, but on the outside, you don't necessarily have that experience. And just because you have experience doesn't make you great, but you definitely would like that on your offensive line. So for Patrick, I think they're a little more sure about him based on some of the things you read between the lines. I think the left tackle position is an area of concern. You've got a young man from Maumelle, Arkansas, Andrew Chambly, who's probably going to start tomorrow, and then another kid from Louisiana named Devin Manuel, who's about 6'8", 6'9". And, again, they haven't played a lot of snaps to this point. So we'll see how that plays out. If it's not good, we saw Harold Perkins for LSU single-handedly come off the edge, right or left, and wreck a game plan. And even if it's KJ Jefferson back there, if you got an All-American linebacker or defensive end gunning at your throat 24/7, you ain't going to have much a chance to win a football game or do much offensive, fellas.
For
Ty,
go ahead, Brett.
I'm sorry, Brian. With all this conference realignment, and it's right there knocking on you and Tommy's back door with OU right there, and I guess Oklahoma State feeling jilted. Of all the realignment, and maybe a question for next year at Media Days, and I will ask a lot of people this, but what's the one team you look at and go, and they're in what conference?
UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten is still weird to me, considering some of the places that they'll have to travel. Now, I haven't fully immersed myself in the story, but did the Stanford, Cal, and
it went through today.
It did.
And that's it for me. I mean, from Bay Area to Boston, we got the ACC now.
Yeah, it's weird, man. And they call instead of the Atlantic Coast Conference, I think they might need to change their name to the All Coast Conference or something like that.
Every coast.
The Every Coast Conference. But yeah, that's probably the one. I mean, you just think about the kids. Listen, I think all of us at some point of our life, maybe not all of us, have been on long flights and stuff or been on trips, and you're dragging, man. I mean, you are dragging after a long flight, and I don't care how in shape you are. That has an effect on you for a couple days. And you got to remember these guys and gals, too, that are competing or in class and doing other stuff and just trying to be normal students and just being normal college kids. So I don't think it's good for not just college football but college sports. But that definitely is the one that stands out, going from Cali to BC like you're talking about. It's just nuts.
What's your plan for tomorrow? You in the press box? You back at the radio station? You in the stands with friends? You watching you watching with friends? What's your plan for you tomorrow?
So here's the plan, Brett. It kind of changed when they moved the game time up 3 hours earlier this week. I am going to be doing our pregame show with Tommy and in our Fort Smith studios. Then I'm going to watch the game at my house, drive to Russellville, Arkansas, to our friends at CJ's Butcher Boy Burgers, do the post-game show there, and then come back and just relax. I'm not going to be able to make it to Little Rock this weekend, unfortunately, but I will be in Fayetteville for the first Fayetteville opener next weekend against Kent State.
Yeah. Ty, tomorrow, we kind of already said, should be a somewhat easy game for Arkansas. Who's maybe a younger guy that might not see a ton of action this year, but could see some action tomorrow that you're really excited to see get some snaps?
There's a kid named Davion Dozier from Moody, Alabama, that I think people are surprised to see on the 2-deep. I think he could play tomorrow. Jalen Braxton and Luke Haas are the two freshmen that are going to play the most minutes this season. Jalen's from Frisco. Haas is the young man from Tulsa who could be one of the best freshman tight ends in all of college football. Brad Spence is a linebacker that I think people are intrigued by a little bit if he could play, depending on some injury checkouts. But you always kind of looked at the skill positions, right? Mm-hmm. And I would probably say Moody is at the top of the list just because he's a wide receiver that is making an impact already as a true freshman.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many carries tomorrow for Rocket Sanders?
Man, I hope not more than 15. I hope
if that.
He gets in, gets out, gets his 100+, and he has himself a nice little squad on the bench. I mean, Arkansas, that's the one position they could probably afford to lose someone just because of the depth. It's SEC depth. They don't have a lot of SEC depth everywhere else. But this is a kid that could be up for the Doak Walker with Quinshawn Judkins, Blake Corum, and I think Henderson for Ohio State's the kid I'm thinking of at the end of the year. So I hope that he gets in, gets out, and pads his stats a little bit. Doesn't have to do too much to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ty, enjoy the game tomorrow and all the festivities around it. We'll do it again on Friday.
Brian, I look forward to it. Brett, by the way, I got my Airbnb at Oxford. I will be there in a month from I guess next week. I cannot wait to finally get back to the Grove and hang out with you that weekend.
I'm ready to see you, and I want to see you that Friday night for sure.
Guaranteed, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Now, you may stay out a little later than I do because, Ty, you got to remember, I only see 1 o'clock every day.
You're smart to do so. Man, last time I was in Oxford, I won 21. So I'm going to take full advantage of
Take advantage of it, yeah.
You may see both 1 o'clocks in one fell swoop.
Thanks, Ty.
Oh, man.
Thank you, Ty. You got it.
Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas joining us every single Friday to talk about the Razorbacks. We've talked a lot of college football today, and I know a lot of people are hitting the road, going to a football game tomorrow, whether it be here at Ole Miss in Arkansas. You got to get over to Hewlett and Dunn, Boot and Jean on the historic square in Collierville since 1961.
Yeah, our title sponsor this hour, we appreciate them so much for cowboy boots, cowgirl boots. You'll see a lot at tailgates from Tiger Lane to Tuscaloosa and all points in between. I bet in Little Rock, and I know for sure down in the Grove tomorrow. Charles Hall, he started working there in his teens, and now with his wife Laura, they own the place, known for all the boots, but also so much more, clothing, accessories, and those snapback caps for any team for any season.
When you talk about the boots, but they also have Western wear, work boots, safety toe, or soft toe, and rubber boots. They have you covered. Boots for every occasion at Hewlett and Dunn. From head to toe, they have you covered with every brand imaginable. Ariat, Dan Post, Anderson Bean, whether for men or women, you got to get over to Hewlett and Dunn.
Charles and Laura Hall, they invite you to 111 North Center Street or to HewlettDunn.com on the historic square in Collierville. Men's and women's clothing, jeans, pants, shirts, shorts, outerwear, and the best duckhead collection you'll find anywhere.
And we talked about if you're going to a game tomorrow, hats, sunglasses, boot care products in every area, team snapbacks, cool hats that you can think of for the Tigers, State, UT, Ole Miss, or the Razorbacks. They've got you covered. And if you're traveling, their travel bag selection is top notch. So make sure you get over and say hello at 111 Center Street on the square in Collierville or online at HewlettandDunn.com. Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back for the first time this year, we'll get to the First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Roofing and siding, gutters too. We're the pros you can trust to get it done right. Call on us. 5-Ash Roofing, the name to know. 5-Ash Roofing, the only way to go. 5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. 5-Ash Roofing.
Is that not the corniest thing you've ever heard? Can you believe I paid good money for that silly jingle? Well, the experts say make it memorable, and I think I got my money's worth. 5-Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. 5-Ash Roofing, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Start your day the right way at La Palapa with the biggest, baddest breakfast burrito around. Chorizo, cheese, rice, beans, and eggs served with fresh salsa, and it's served all day. La Palapa has daily lunch specials, all served with rice and beans, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Try a torta, breaded chicken, steak, chorizo, or ham served with mayo, avocado, lettuce, tomato, and jalapenos, all in a hoagie. Plus amazing soups and dinner entrees, all at La Palapa, 5255 Summer Avenue. La Palapa, the little hut with big taste.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises. Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. They've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Bill Samish, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763, or the office in Collierville, or online at fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you. They're a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I've had an account, been a friend, and been a customer my entire life. And that is a fact. I was in the lobby on Wednesday, and they are really good people, and I appreciate them so much. And they've been with us at SEC Media Days, at the golf tournament, and many years now for the Friday football forecast. And I'm going to give that weather forecast again for tomorrow. 77 at kickoff time in Oxford, 84 in Memphis for the Tigers, 82 down in Starkville for Mississippi State, and 85 in Little Rock tomorrow for the Razorbacks. The Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust every week, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas for real estate, commercial, ag, hunting, recreational. Contact them at fnbt.com or call them at 901-498-5763. The model of consistency. Any of those people will help you, like Bill Samish and my friend Jules Fletcher, and I look forward to going to her wedding next March. And it's time for the picks. We're going to pick now through the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we are.
And I'm defending champion.
You are?
I am.
So you got me
runaway defending champion.
You got me all excited earlier.
No, you were.
I think I was picks for SEC and American on the schedule.
I think that's right.
That's right.
You won that. You won that. Well, there's a lot of grids this week.
Yeah. When you said that earlier, I said I don't think I won Friday football forecast.
That's
finally agreed.
Well, I mean, if you're going to tell me I'm the champ, I'm the champ. You better believe it.
That's exactly right. You have corrected me. First game, we're picking bright and early tomorrow morning in Nashville, and you can tell if you turn it on Paul Feinbaum right now just to see orange in downtown Nashville. Tennessee, they're going to have the year that Jay Morgan thinks. It's got to start well tomorrow in Nashville. They're a 28.5-point favorite over Virginia. The last time these two teams played was in the Sugar Bowl after the 1990 season. Tennessee beat Ole Miss at then Liberty Bowl Stadium to advance to the Sugar Bowl that year. That was a classic game in 1990 between Ole Miss and Tennessee. And they beat the Virginia Cavaliers in the Sugar Bowl that year on New Year's Day of 91. I think it's all Tennessee, maybe into the 50s. And it won't be enough points to cover for Virginia. Give me the big orange in a big way tomorrow. Bryant.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Tennessee wins big. You look at this Virginia team and program, we know tragedy struck that program at the end of last season when 3 players lost their lives. But before that, they just were not a good team. 3-win team last year, going up against a Tennessee team that really had a lot of momentum last year. It was a really good team. Now, they did lose their quarterback, but I think there's a lot of excitement around Joe Milton, what he can do in this offense. I think you're going to get that up-tempo offense that you we've come to know and love over the past couple seasons at Tennessee. You mentioned it earlier. I think Nashville's going to be full of that Tennessee orange, and because of that, it's going to be a tough environment for Virginia. So I agree with you. Tennessee minus 28.5.
Jay Morgan?
I'm also taking the Vols
Group
in this
lock
one.
in the first game.
Oh, why do we got to do that? Why do we have to do that?
Tough.
Go ahead, Jay Morgan. Please give us your reasoning.
Well, I was going to forego my reasoning because you all gave such eloquent examples of why they're going to win the game. I would rather talk about how ESPN is doing a deal this year where 75 college football games are going to be broadcast in theaters across America. I think it's a really cool idea. It's awesome. I watch boxing and UFC and stuff in theaters. This is a great idea. It's a cheap way to watch games and stuff like that. Can't do it in Memphis. They're not going to be doing it at Malco theaters around town. I love Malco. Man, I go to Malco all the time. And I know they're sponsored on the station. I implore them, pick this up. This is a great deal.
For Joe Milton to launch at Heisman candidacy, give me his stat line from tomorrow's game.
350, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and completing about 75%.
That's a good launching spot for him. 11 o'clock on Fox. TCU minus 20.5. That story of TCU last year. I know it's hard to forget the last game. Remember everything else before that, and that's what their fans should do. They really should just really dote on what all was accomplished last year. They're a 20.5-point favorite tomorrow at Amon G. Carter Stadium on the campus in Fort Worth against Coach Prime. It will be a lot of prime. The mentions of Prime and the shots of Prime this weekend will really capture a lot of attention. TCU laying the 20.5. I think it's all Sonny Dykes and all Horned Frogs. They win big over Coach Prime. And Bruce passed on the game, as he said, he just doesn't know the roster. Yeah. And I think if you don't know the roster, you probably get beat by a really good coach and a good team on the road in the first game.
Yeah, I might be silly for doing this, but I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to go with Colorado. I mean, you look at this TCU team from last year, a really, really good team. But let's not forget, there were a handful of wins in there, especially in conference play, that they had to have a last-second field goal or something go their way to win those games. They weren't just blowing opponents out. There were some really close games on their schedule. But for Colorado, like you said, the unknown, the Dion factor, bringing in his son to starting quarterback, his cornerback from Jackson State, that was the number 1 player in the country. There's a ton of unknowns, and I watched a UMass team in week 0. Now, they were playing New Mexico State. I get it. It is not a ranked opponent, but I saw that UMass team that was unbearable to watch last year go and put up 40-some-odd points against New Mexico State and look like a completely new team. I think the transfer portal is going to turn programs around a lot quicker than we're used to, and I'm not saying this is going to turn it around, but for Colorado, I feel somewhat good betting that they'll stay within 3 touchdowns of TCU. For those reasons, I'll take Colorado.
No, the Buffaloes for Bryant. Jay Morgan.
I'm not buying it. I know that
I said I might be an idiot for doing it.
I'm not buying it. I just don't. I don't know any players on Colorado. I know Dion has a lot of cachet that comes with him, and I'm not doubting the fact that he can, have success at Colorado or other places if he moves somewhere else down the road. Yeah. But it ain't happening this weekend, and they're going to get beat by more than 20.
6 o'clock tomorrow night on FS1, UTSA, a team we will watch closely in the American Athletic Conference and hope for the potential of maybe a Tigers and UTSA AAC championship game, and hopefully in Memphis. At the fairgrounds, UTSA minus 2.5. They're on the road at Houston at TD-ECU Stadium. Bryant, you pick first.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Houston in this one. I think UTSA is going to have a really, really good season, but I think there's going to be a lot of excitement for Houston. You saw the excitement at UCF last night going up against Kent State. Could have very easily been a game that you get an okay crowd, but the bounce house was jumping last night. There's a lot of excitement for these schools now in the Big 12. I think there will be a lot of excitement at Houston. I think they realize, I don't think this is a game that they're going to sleep on. I think they realize UTSA is a good team and will bring a good challenge to them. But also, I say all of that, throw all of that out. I don't know, Brett, if you've seen the uniforms Houston is going to be wearing tomorrow night against UTSA, a baby blue throwback to the Houston Oilers days. They're beautiful jerseys, and for that reason, I'm going to take Houston in this one. Wrong team favored. I'll take the Cougars straight up.
Okay. A tribute to the Oilers. I didn't see that one coming. No, I didn't know about it. Jay Morgan.
I like UTSA in this one. I think I picked them. I have to look at my schedule. I picked them to go 11-1, and that starts with a win this week. They're not going to lose that one game this week. I think they roll, and UTSA covers the spread.
I had it straight up on picks as well. I got UTSA winning this one. I'm not trying to hire and fire a bunch of coaches week one. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to do that ever. But if there's a change at Texas A&M and they want to just get a really good football coach instead of win the press conference and shoot for the moon, Jeff Traylor at UTSA would fit that. Tomorrow night on NBC, the Big Ten and their network partners. Tomorrow night on NBC at 6:30, Penn State at home, 20.5-point favorite over West Virginia. Give me Penn State.
I'm right there with you. I never want to, like you just said, predict or call for a firing of a coach, but I think West Virginia is going to be very bad this season. I could see things going very sideways for them. I also love Penn State, those traditional uniforms. What they did at the end of last season was remarkable and fun to watch. So I'm going to take Penn State, even though it's a pretty big line.
I'm going to take Penn State as well.
Good luck.
I really don't know much about West Virginia, but I know about James Franklin. I'm kind of buying on the name on this one.
6:30 tomorrow night on ABC, North Carolina, -2.5. That's Coach Mack Brown over South Carolina with son of Frank Beamer, Shane Beamer. These two teams really even. But I think one thing that when I say you could put them in, they could swap uniforms and you wouldn't tell the difference. You can tell the difference at quarterback with Drake May and Spencer Rattler. So Spencer Rattler's got to play like he did down the stretch last year. I think he will. I'm going to go with South Carolina plus the 2.5.
So I'm going to go opposite of you. I'm going to go with North Carolina, but since I've made that decision earlier in the week, we picked it earlier with our SEC picks, and I've been kind of set on North Carolina for a while, but I've heard a lot of people saying South Carolina, and then just about an hour ago, I saw reports that one of North Carolina's top receiver, Tez Walker, who just transferred into the program, will not play tomorrow because they have not gotten word back on his eligibility yet from the NCAA, which is ridiculous to begin with. More on that in our next segment during Taco Bell Crunch Time. But I'm still going to go with North Carolina. I think it's a very close game, but I'll side with the Tar Heels.
My heels also tarred tonight. I'm taking North Carolina in this one. I think they cover that spread. I like Drake May. I think he's a good quarterback, and I think they run a system where that he excels in, and for that reason, I think they'll win games at South Carolina that they don't expect to win, but I don't think that starts this week.
There was once a time Spencer Rattler at OU mentioned for the Heisman Trophy, so he knows that off-season pressure that Drake May is playing under. Sunday night, the big one, it will have the A-team. Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit calling the game on ABC. 6:30 on Sunday night. LSU -2.5 over FSU. Everybody knows what happened last year, and everybody expects a classic this year. Jay Morgan, you pick first.
I think LSU wins this one. I think they covered the spread
I'm
easy.
with you.
I just don't think it. I don't think Florida State. I think Florida State has a good year. I like them. I like Clemson too. I think they're good in the ACC. But man, this LSU team really just turned into another gear down the stretch of that season. I think they carry on that momentum, and I think they win big tonight.
Third group lock, Bryant?
No, I'm going to go with Florida State. I made this pick earlier in the week when we did LSU. I'm really high on Mike Norvell and what this Florida State team can be this year. It was a wild one last year, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's an extremely close game down the stretch again this year and it goes one way or the other. But I'm going to stick with the Noles and go Florida State.
Stay right there with you, Bryant, and you give us your college football lock.
My lock, I had to kind of search far and wide for a lock this week, but I'm going to go a Sunday game, Rutgers -6.5
early
over
Sunday.
Northwestern, an early one on Sunday. You know, when you look at this game with everything that's happened this offseason for Northwestern, I'll be honest, I don't know a single thing about Rutgers, but I just know what has happened at Northwestern.
We know too much about Northwestern.
We know too much about Northwestern. I think Northwestern could be a team this year that you're looking to fade every single week. You're getting them in a conference conference game, less than a touchdown. So I'll go with Rutgers on this one. I mean, I'm just not sold until I see something from Northwestern. I just can't side with them.
Jay Morgan, your college football lock.
My lock is going to be Texas Tech this week. They're going to Wyoming, and they're only favored by 13.5.
Look at that Alumni Association credit, Jay Morgan.
Not even, I'm wearing black and red today, too. Not even favored by 2 touchdowns at Wyoming. I know nothing about Wyoming.
You really love your school, unlike Bryant, right?
That's right. But there's just I picked them to win a national championship, Brett, and I'm picking them to win week 1. No, I just don't think this line is correct. I think Texas Tech is being severely underestimated in this game, and I think we'll look back at Texas Tech only being favored by 13.5 to Wyoming when they're favored by like 3 touchdowns later in the season and laugh at this line. I think Texas Tech wins big.
Mine is Washington. Bruce Marshall loved it, and I do too. Washington, mine is 14.5 over Boise State. My college football shock, no way they're going to win straight up, but I do have them going 10-2. And just with kind of the upheaval of the last 2 weeks around Michigan, they win easily, but East Carolina gets under the 36.5. Bryant?
I'm going to go with Coastal Carolina, the late game tonight or tomorrow night on ESPN as they travel to California to take on UCLA. When you look at UCLA, lost their starting quarterback. We know how good of a quarterback he is and how much he impressed in NFL preseason. And then when you look at the Chanticleers, they have that weapon at quarterback. Grayson McCall, he has been consistent over the years. A lot of people thought he would leave going into this season, maybe follow his coach to Liberty or go somewhere else where he could have a bigger stage and a bigger opportunity. But no, Grayson McCall stays at Coastal Carolina, and for that reason, I think it's crazy that they are more than a 2-touchdown dog against UCLA. So I will take them plus 14.5.
I am so excited for my shock this week. You ready?
I'm ready.
This shock is excellent. I'm taking South Alabama plus 6.5 at Tulane this week. Tulane is
You're going for the 2 points. You're going for the straight up, aren't you?
Tulane is the most overvalued team in my mind just because the quarterback came back. Yeah. They lost a ton from last year.
Their starting running back.
And it's not being a factor at all.
I don't want a South Alabama straight up upset. I want Tulane feeling pretty good next week.
I think they might have also been fortunate to have the schedule they had last year, too. Meanwhile, South Alabama went 10-2 last year. I don't think a lot of people realize that, and their 2 losses were by a combined 5 points to UCLA and Troy, who you might say, Troy was also good last year. South Alabama might win this game outright, Brett. You're absolutely right.
That's our picks for the first Friday of the year. Next Friday, we'll have NFL picks, and since 1886, firmly established in Eastern Arkansas, First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, and now in West Tennessee with First National Bank and Trust. Stable, secure, solid, reliable, and as I said, the model of consistency all season long. Friday football forecast at 5:30 on Fridays.
Well, let's get to our final break of the day, our final break of the week. On the other side, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
WeatherGuard, the name that stands for unmatched security in truck boxes, is now making a name for itself on the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series circuit. WeatherGuard is the official sponsor of the safety and security work crews at Speedway Motorsports tracks across the country. Engineered to meet the demands from job sites to race sites, WeatherGuard truck boxes feature double welded seams, weather-tight seals, and high security latches and locks. If it's a job worth doing, it's a job worth WeatherGuard. Learn more at weatherguard.com/truck.
Is your roof leaking? Do you have water damage on your ceiling of your home or business? Do you need assistance gathering much-needed data and images from your storm-damaged roof for an insurance claim? Call Metro Builders, roof and restoration specialists, and schedule your free inspection. At Metro Builders, our team of Hague-certified technicians and fully trained estimators are ready to come out and evaluate any concerns you may have. Metro Builders Roof and Restoration. We accept all insurance carrier scopes. Call Metro Builders now. Each and every day, we provide clients many different types of data and estimates for their insurance carrier. These include estimate and photo reports of all damage, from the roof to water damage on rafters and ceilings and even studs and plates inside walls. Check out the local BBB for our 27-year history in construction in Memphis, or check us out online today at metrobuildersmemphis.com. That's metrobuildersmemphis.com for your local residential and commercial roofing and restoration experts. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye. Hello, Haskins. It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, what I learned today is that Arizona State and freshman quarterback Jaden Rashada nearly escaped against Southern Utah, a game that had a dust storm and a rainstorm in it, a 2-hour delay. The game restarted.
Right. That's it. If I'm ever delayed for a dust storm, I'm out.
At halftime, they had a dust storm and an actual storm, a 2-hour delay. Got back started about 1:30 our time. Arizona State at the half was up 21-7, but after that, Southern Utah makes it a game, only loses by 3 in Tempe, Arizona, 24-21. Your final score, but a good night, game 1 for the freshman Jaden Rashada.
All right, I will probably watch the Cardinals again before this year ends. I said I wasn't going to again until opening day. Mark it down. When I'm at a dust storm delayed game, time for me to stay at home.
That's right.
That's it. What I learned, it was so much fun to see Minnesota win last night at the buzzer and hear Gus Johnson screaming and the Gopher fans celebrating a big win. And that's the way you should celebrate, a big win in warm, hot Minneapolis last night. And that's probably the last really warm weather day in Minneapolis until next 4th of July. So enjoy it, Gopher fans. Hard to believe Nebraska and Florida so bad.
Very hard to believe. What I could have done without, about an hour and a half ago, Pete Thamel reported that UNC wide receiver Tez Walker will not play tomorrow night against South Carolina, as North Carolina is still waiting for an NCAA transfer waiver decision. Matt Brown talked and said, expressed his disappointment in the NCAA. A decision is expected next week, but why are we waiting until next week when we've had the entire summer to make it? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know all the details of it. Maybe this is a 2-time transfer, whatever it might be. I do not care. Tez Walker has been a part of this North Carolina roster for a while now, and we should have a decision before game time. I don't care what happened in the background. That is ridiculous by the NCAA.
I could have done without this if it's been out there for a while, but the first time I saw the Joel Klatt, Deion Sanders interview, it's must watch. It is inspirational stuff. It's very smart stuff. It's great take stuff, and I'm looking forward to watching Deion Sanders in his first year at Colorado.
Absolutely. Where are you beaming?
Beam me to the best place on earth. I don't even need the beaming machine. I could crawl over there tomorrow to the Grove at Ole Miss. I'm about 500 yards where I'm sitting right now from our stage, and it's the best 5 minutes of the weekend when I walk from the hotel to the stage. We come on at 11 tomorrow with Gary Darby and our Grove reporter, Kieran Lincheski, tomorrow. Then we kick off at 1 o'clock with David Kellum and Harry Harrison calling the game, and John Darnell on the sidelines.
Jay Morgan, where are you beaming?
Got to turn my mic on. I'm going to beam. How about I beam to the Michigan State Central Michigan game tonight, and then I'll go everywhere tomorrow. I mean, I'm going to start at 11 o'clock.
One place
I'm going all over the
day.
country tomorrow, baby.
I like it. I don't need the beam machine. So, Jay Morgan, you can use my trip on the beam machine because I'm just going to drive to Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Another start to the season for the Memphis Tigers. It might be against Bethune-Cookman.
And renew your Alumni Association dues.
I'll have to go beg, get on my knees and beg as many people as I need to. Please let me still be a Tiger after my predictions today, that's for sure.
You were born a Tiger. You'll always be one. We'll watch a lot this weekend. Name the score in Memphis, Little Rock, Starkville, and Oxford. It'll be quite large margins. How many quarterbacks play for Bama? We know who starts. How clean does UT look against UVA? There's the right way to win those blowouts. We all know that. Sunday night, the big one, FSU, LSU. Upset alert on Monday night for Clemson and Duke. And I think it'll be fun to see West Virginia at Penn State. That used to be a matchup of independence.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, week 1 is here. I don't think we could be any more excited for the start of football. It starts tonight with a handful of games. Not a ton, but then we really get the full thing tomorrow, starting with Tennessee. That will be a lot of fun in Nashville, and then a full slate of football. Enjoy it. That's the time we have this week. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you on Tuesday.